Welcome everybody back. You can set your watch to it. Wire2Wire Sports Podcast, episode 205, every Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. And in the upper left corner, we got Kent State's own, Cleveland's own, Ohio State's own, not sure he's still claiming the Browns, College Contrell.
Oh, absolutely still claiming the Browns. I mean, I can't judge a season off of one game.
Sure you can.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's what you guys do up there, ready to jump off shift, as soon as things don't go your way. I know that's the Gene special, but it's different for us.
No, it's not jumping off shift. It's looking at things from a realistic glass. That's it.
I'm just saying, I deal with it with you all the time here. So I'm just letting you know, not like, I know Penn State loses their game. They go 7-1. It's like, oh, go Dogs. Go Longhorns.
Listen, we got to go Dogs. We got to predict Georgia, Texas, Penn State, and then Oregon. I got four teams this year.
Don't even get me started on the Phillies. We don't even have enough time to go back over.
You can't go back in.
No, we don't have enough time.
Bad baseball.
We don't have enough time.
I get it. I wouldn't.
Time. Okay.
You can't defend yourself. I get it. Upper right corner.
The number one team. No, you're right.
Number one team in baseball. Scholastic
best record in baseball. Again.
Uncle Shally, Mr. William Shallcross. What's popping, Dart? How you feeling? Good old Short in the Twitch stream.
Dart's in here. I'm feeling good. I think this is going to be a very spirited show.
It's going to be very spirited. It will not be as bad as Deshaun Watson's arm. I promise you.
A lot of personal shots to start off the show. Right?
I love Cottrell. It's all for fun. I promise you. I root for the Browns to do well. This show is better when the Eagles and Browns are both good. This show is better when Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State are good. Speaking of one of those teams not being good. Oh, Michigan took a beating.
There we go.
I wouldn't count your blessings too fast there, bud.
Hey, we won. We beat Unicorn State.
Congrats.
But
one of my fool's gold teams already lost. So
you're right. Notre Dame lost. That was heartbreaking. I had Notre Dame as my number 5 seed. I don't think they'll stay there this year.
Don't know why you had that. Tried to warn you.
You can warn me. I bought into the defense. I love me some Riley Leonard. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what I bought into.
Defense is still great. That offense is
anemic.
It didn't move the ball. It's almost as bad as Michigan's. It was bad.
I mean, our numbers were still better than that game. So
I don't think they were.
They were, but
with that being said, we're all poking fun, all having fun. We got a lot to get into. We're going to break down and recap NFL. We're obviously going to do that for a little while. We have our trivia question, Gene versus Shally tonight. College football. And a little UFC action, Now, college football is light, right? So NFL is going to be a big portion of this show. I'm fired up, though. What game? Let's start Thursday night. Let's start the NFL had a record-breaking week. Thursday night football was everything that you can ask for. It came down to a toe on the line. If you didn't Isaiah likely in the back of the end zone should have wore white cleats because it might have stood and not been overturned. Great football game, though. Your thoughts on Ravens Chiefs to open the season?
Like you said, everything you could ask for the first game of the year. It's funny, you look at that game on Thursday, and that was played at a very high level, and you compare it to some of the games that were played on Sunday that were very sloppy and not crisp, not sharp. Those two teams came out and they both stuck their claims as they're going to be two of the best teams in the NFL this year. You saw everything you wanted to see. Baltimore used Derrick Henry. Certain situations where I thought they would, some where I didn't think they would. Patrick Mahomes looked great with that young group of receivers. Xavier Worthy. I know we've all been high on him, and we thought that was going to be a great pick for Kansas City and Patrick. That's already paying off. How Buffalo let them get in front of them and pick him is just mind-boggling to me when you need a receiver. But great football game, like you said. Came down to literally the last play. There's nothing else you could ask for opening night. And like I said, it was better than pretty much every game that was played, the rest of the weekend. So I think Baltimore is everything we thought they would be. Kansas City is still everything we knew they were going to be. Great start to the season. Like I said, you carried over to week 2 now.
Control?
For me, I mean, obviously the game itself as a whole was phenomenal. There was a couple key things that I was looking out for, though, in that game. I wanted to see how Baltimore was going to utilize Derrick Henry. And you could tell that they tried to, get under center a little bit more and just kind of make Derrick Henry feel a little bit more comfortable than what you typically see with the Lamar Jackson-led offense. And so that was definitely, interesting to see. Kyle brings up a good point in the chat there. They really didn't use Henry as much as I thought they would later on in that game, as that game really got rolling there. One of the other things I really wanted to look out for was who was going to step up and be the true, number one option for that Chiefs offense. And I think it's clear as day, it's Rashee Rice. He's going to be Patrick Mahomes' favorite target. They moved him around a lot. They made sure he got open. And, I thought he had a great game. And then, I know Bill just mentioned Xavier Worthy as well. They really just moved him around, got the ball in his hands pretty easily, and just let him do what he does. He got to utilize his speed and get out there and just make plays. So I think the Chiefs offense is in great shape there. And then just one other thing I was taking a look at was Trent McDuffie on the outside. I thought it was interesting how they used him in that game. Obviously, he primarily played outside, but they still played him in the slot. So I think that's going to be important to see moving forward in the season, like depending on the matchups, who's in the slot, things like that they still have that versatility with them, because the other guy that was lined up on the outside, I can't remember the kid's name. I want to say his first name is Justin, but he played his ass off. And so losing L'Jarius Sneed and knowing that you still got a kid out there that can go and be ready for that moment, even in his first start as a rookie, is something special for that Kansas City Chiefs team. So both these teams, first game of the year, I think they just went out there and showed you that, hey, these are probably going to be the two best teams in the AFC this year. So
I think you're talking about Jalen Watson on the outside.
Jalen Watson, yes, correct.
Jalen Watson's been incredible there for a little while, in my opinion. He's been there a couple of years. I love what he does over there. Just listen, late pick, another steal for the Chiefs. But I will say this: you could also be talking about Justin Reed, but I think like the Jalen Watson with the outside corner that played great in that football game. Just give credit where credit's due. I think that the Chiefs did exactly what they needed to do. They got Worthy in space. They schemed players open. Patrick Mahomes was Patrick Mahomes, and they were just 1 step, 1 inch, 1 foot better than the Ravens, man. And the Ravens are a good football team. Just that's kind of where I'm at. I think that but I like the Chiefs in that game. That game was a lot cleaner than the game that happened Friday night. As we move into Friday, because I'll make something very clear to anyone listening out there that's an Eagles fan. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Because I'm not, woe was me. I love the team. I'm still an Eagles fan. But Jalen Hurts played bad football. And I don't know what else you could watch. He played such bad football that PFF rated him the worst quarterback of the entire weekend. Now, I don't agree with that, right? I don't agree with him being the worst quarterback of the whole weekend. I think Daniel Jones was worse. I think Bryce Young was worse. I think Caleb Williams was worse, if we're being honest. But Jalen Hurts had 3 turnovers, 2 of them his fault, 1 probably not on the snap with Jurgens, and then 2 extra turnover-worthy plays, which I don't understand how you have a fake bubble screen called and then get stuck and throw to the bubble screen when it's already covered. He threw a ball directly in the Jair Alexander's stomach. Thank God A.J. Brown played a very good defender to knock that ball out. And then he threw Jair Alexander another interception on one of the worst NFL. I'm not kidding with you. It was the worst interception I've seen all year until what Will Levis did on Sunday. But we'll talk about that in a minute. The Philadelphia Eagles, now on the positive side, Saquon Barkley looked great. I'll take another step forward. Philadelphia Eagles got great linebacker play. Zach Bond, Nakobe Dean played very, very good football. Vontae Maddox was beaten like he stole something, and Jaden Reed was running all over him. But if I'm being promising. We can think positively. Everyone else outside of Jalen Hurts and Avonte Maddox looked good, except the field. The field looked awful. And all the announcers that talked about the field during the game drove me nuts. Like, this has been such a great experience. It was the most scripted bunch of bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life. Right? It was very obvious the NFL was like, you better not say anything negative. Everyone say it's the best experience ever, greatest experience ever. Like, that's what it was, all scripted bullshit. No one felt like that was a great experience. And particularly, and I'll end here before I go to either one of you guys, not a great experience for Jordan Love. Jordan Love had a good game, but at the end of the game, went away from that game what looks like a sprained PCL. They haven't ruled them out for Sunday, which is absolutely absurd to me. But your thoughts on the Eagles-Packers game? I walked away from that game saying Jordan Love is a better quarterback than Jalen Hurts. Did anybody else do that? Am I the only one to do that? Am I the overreacting Eagles fan? I walked away from that game, like just watching that game, like Jordan Love's better.
Well, maybe, just spoiler alert, maybe that's one of the questions that we have in over and under reaction.
I'm an overreactor. That's what I am. I'm an overreactor. I don't want to go too far. I'm trying to break down the game, but that's what I walked around and said. Shally, your thoughts as an Eagles fan? Did you, and you give me credit, right? You always say that I'm the optimistic Eagles fan and you're the pessimistic one, and you're the optimistic Phillies fan and I'm the pessimistic one. I feel like I'm just being Jeff Perrone. I'm like negative on everything. Shout out to Jeff.
No, I mean, I think if you're looking at it from a realistic, unbiased point of view, a lot of things you said is what you would come away from after watching that game. I don't know if I think Jordan Love's a better quarterback yet. I think Jalen, to your point, just had a bad game. I think it's going to take – it's going to take time for him to really get into the intricacies of what Kellen Moore wants him to do. Now, if he can handle those things is what's going to be kind of a litmus test here to see where he goes and what kind of season he has. Saquon Barkley, I couldn't have been any higher on him other than C-Mac, and that's probably already blowing up my face. But he's everything is advertised. He gives that offense a completely different dynamic than they did not have. You still have A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith both outside. I think they both look great. I think overall the offensive line played pretty well, considering the field conditions. There was a lot of slippage. They need to stop playing football games on soccer fields. They have the same problem every single time they do this. It's different turf. It's designed differently. They just need to stop doing it. But defensively, I agree with you. I think Nakobe Dean had a really good night for himself. I think he really showed out and showed that he can be on the field most of the time. I know Devin White's probably going to cut into that a little bit, but Nakobe Dean had a really good night for himself. After kind of the first 2 years, kind of being a little up and down, not being on the field because he's hurt and being criticized when he is on the field. I think he took a big step up Friday night and did well for himself. Ball, you already mentioned that dude was all over the football field. I think he had a great night. Maddox, very unlike him, did not have a good night at all. You pointed that out. Other than that, I think the rest of the secondary played pretty well. Carter and Davis left a lot to be desired for me at certain points of the game. I think they were running the ball way too easily right at them for my liking. Those two need to step up. We've kind of I don't want to say put our future on their shoulders, but we kind of have. There's no more Fletcher Cox there. It's their show now. They need to be a little bit better, a little bit more consistent, I think. But other than that,
you crack the defensive line, because I do agree with you. But I will say this, right? I'll make an excuse for the defensive line. I'm here for that excuse. And the excuse I'll give them is the same excuse I gave the 2018 Philadelphia Eagles, or sorry, I'm lying. The 2021 Philadelphia Eagles when they played in Arizona in that slip and slide environment in the Super Bowl. I will give them the excuse that pass rushers have the biggest issue when it comes to being able to plant on really bad grass / turf. In the same respect, Green Bay did not get much pressure on Philadelphia either.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was both sides not really getting pressure on the quarterback. And I don't want to write the book on Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Bryce Huff, Brandon Graham until I see them on a normal field.
I think there's only one guy that you mentioned that you should be starting to have questions about, and that's Jordan Davis.
Why?
I think Jordan Davis. I think at times Jalen Carter showed you that he can be disruptive and he can get in the backfield and make those plays. I just think for what Jordan Davis was coming out, and this isn't me writing him off, but I'm just saying, like, I think you need to be more concerned about him than everybody else. Bryce Huff coming off the edge, we know he can rush the passer. Like, there's no doubt about that. Jalen Carter, we've seen him be disruptive last year. I'd argue he's the best interior lineman that you guys had on the team last year. Don't know if you guys would agree with me on that, but I'd make that argument for him. So, like, we know what he can do there. Brandon Graham, like, he's been doing it for ages. We know what he can do out there, even if it is on limited snaps, because he is getting older and he may just be, primarily rushing the passer now. But for me, with Jordan Davis, it's like, hey, I know how much talent you have. You haven't shown me that talent. There was a point in time where we thought Jordan Davis might be one of the best defensive players in that class. And, like, we haven't even come close to seeing that yet. And again, not writing him off. I think it's only year 3 for him at this point. So it's going to be nice for him playing next to Jalen Carter. But again, you can't have, especially the defensive tackle position, you can't rely on all the other guys next to you. Because, you're going to be getting double teamed damn near every play. So, like, at some point, you kind of just got to hunker down and go out there and make plays. I think we've seen some of that with Jalen, with Jordan. We just haven't quite seen that as consistently as you would want to from a guy who we know is super talented.
I'm not writing him off. I think he's there to be a run stuffer. I think that's what he's going to be. I don't think he's ever going to be a 10 to 15 sack guy. I don't think he's ever going to be Warren Sapp. I think he's there to plug the middle and allow the linebackers to hit the holes. I think a lot of the things Jordan Davis is going to do for the Eagles, you're not going to be able to see on the stat sheet, but you will be able to see in gap control. Now, there was a point in time, and I got to give Vic Fangio credit. If you remember, the Packers ran the ball. It was like a 5-play, 70-yard drive, and they were all runs. It was run, and then the Jaden Reed outside run. It was I'm going to say the last you've seen Bryce Huff, but Bryce Huff was on the field for all 5 of those plays. Brandon Graham played more snaps than Bryce Huff. The moment they started running the football and abusing the fact that he wants to peel his ears back and get after the quarterback, you've seen BG on the field a lot more, and that adjustment was made. The run game, still obviously the Packers ran the football, but after the second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, Philadelphia Eagles did a very good job of containing the run. And I credit that to Vic Fangio making that adjustment and going with Brandon Graham. He, by the way, and just the last part, you said and you were right, Shally. Devin White will see some time, but one of the coolest things today was Vic Fangio's press conference. When they asked him, they said, is Nakobe Dean going to start? He goes, oh, no, Nakobe's the starter. And Devin White's, not the starter. And then they asked him the follow-up question on it. And he said, no, Nakobe Dean outplayed him throughout camp. He was the starter going into week 1. And it was so direct. And I've never heard I missed that. I missed that type of honesty. No, Nakobe Dean's our starter. It was very quick, very concise, very direct. I appreciated that.
It's good. Listen, I think we all saw the potential in him, and we were kind of, I know me and you were both excited when he dropped and we got him where we got him. His biggest thing is it's just been the last 2 years. I don't think it's necessarily a talent or effort thing. He's just got to stay on the field. And the one thing that was against him was he's a little undersized. Yep. And I think he just gets banged up easily because he's in those mucks with all those big guys, and he's a little bit more prone to injury. But if he earned the starting job, that's great. If Devin White is your 4th linebacker, in the rotation, then I would say you're doing pretty good.
I'm with you. Let's move into Sunday. Obviously we're going to talk about some previews, some conversations. Really shitty to see Jordan Love's injury, and we'll talk about him and overreaction, underreaction. Let's walk into Sunday. Let's walk into the 1:00 hour. 1:00 hour, there's a lot of good football games. I don't know where you want to start here. There's a lot of different things we can go over. There's a few things that I looked at that I found very interesting, right? Miami-Jacksonville was a fun game to break down and look at. I watched that game twice now, watched it live, and I watched the All-22. Chicago-Tennessee, that I talk about a coach really throwing his quarterback under the bus. That was hilarious what Brian Callahan said about Will Levis or about the offense. If we would punt the ball on 1st and 10, we probably would have won the game. One of the worst interceptions I've ever seen thrown on a football field. I mean, that rivals the Carson Wentz in the end zone throwing it directly to the Tennessee Titans. Like, that rivals that interception. It's right there. What was your 1 o'clock game? What was the 1 o'clock game that you had on your TV? Everyone has Red Zone and then a game that they flip to. Like, I know it wasn't Giants-Vikings because the Giants are a train wreck. And Steve Young Darnold was going off. He was just no holds barred. What was your 1 o'clock game? For
me, I would say it was back and forth between Atlanta and Pittsburgh and then Miami and Jacksonville. Miami and Jacksonville, obviously, like we know how that game turned out there. But the Atlanta and Pittsburgh game was interesting to me because it was multiple reasons. One, I was definitely expecting Atlanta's offense. I know it was the first game with Cousins being there, first game with the head coach, OC, all that. I was expecting them to look a little bit more dynamic. I know Pittsburgh always is going to have a good defense, but with all the weapons that they had, I was expecting more burst from those guys. I was expecting Bijan to look like, a stud out there. I was expecting Kyle Pitts to have a great game. I was expecting Kirk Cousins to look better than what he did. And then on the flip side of that, with Justin Fields, it was almost like that Mike Tomlin knew going in, hey, we know Justin Fields is an incredible talent. We're going to throw the training wheels on him. His issue in Chicago was that he would play great, but he would find ways to lose your football games. It could be the coach putting him in bad positions, or it could be just the fact that he felt like he had to go be Superman in those games. And Mike Tomlin made sure that didn't happen in this game. Pittsburgh went out there and they kicked 6 field goals and they won the football game. They didn't ask Justin Fields to go out there and do anything extraordinary. They didn't ask him to make a crazy play. He managed the game the entire game. And it's crazy to say that about Justin Fields because we know how dynamic of a player he is. But he was like the perfect game manager in that situation where the Pittsburgh defense had Atlanta pretty much cooped up the entire game. So that was pretty interesting to see for sure.
What was yours, Shal? What game did you watch?
I did watch a decent amount of the Atlanta-Pittsburgh game for a lot of the reasons Cottrell said.
The local Fox game.
Yeah. And then I watched as much of the Chicago-Tennessee game as I could. I wanted to watch Caleb, who I thought had a very –
by the way.
Yeah. I mean, he had an up and down day. I would say more down than up.
There was no up.
I'm not going to say
he threw for 95 yards? Was that the stat line?
I think so. It's 95, 98, something like that.
Not a good day.
No. I mean, he did make 2 incredible throws, though. I mean, you see the flashes and then you think and you see, what everybody, and the hype and what everybody thinks it can be. But he struggled. Listen, I mean, to your point, he came out. Tennessee does not have a bad defense whatsoever.
No, they don't.
And they
proved that.
Yeah, and they showed him a lot of things that he's never seen before. They moved a lot of people around, and that is the difference. That is, the difference between the NFL and college. NFL runs a lot of schemes that they're too complicated for kids in college, and he saw a bunch of things Sunday that he's never seen before, and it showed. He dropped back, first look wasn't there, and he was like, "Uh-oh." Like, and again, I'm not bashing him. It's the first start of a rookie. Like that's the stuff you're going to go through this year. And that's, I think that's why it's going to be, I think I'm the only one that didn't pick Chicago to make the playoffs. Because again, I mean, they ended up winning that game. They had no business winning that game. I think there's going to be a couple games still down the road that they lose that they shouldn't. That if we looked at it right now, we would say is a win, and it's probably going to be a loss. He's going to have some growing pains. Almost every single rookie that's ever done it does. So, like I said, he made the one real throw deep to the left, and he made the throw on the run to his right. That was just a laser.
Yeah, Keenan Allen dropped the touchdown pass. That's the best throw I think he made.
There's that one too. So I mean, it's I wouldn't be downtrodden or anything if I was a Chicago fan, but just realize it's his first year and it's gonna be a little bit of a bumpy ride. So I
gotta give Matt Eberflus his credit. I was so down on him a year and a half ago, and maybe he's not the best offensive coach, and maybe they need to get a good offensive coordinator in there. But the one thing I will say is that defense looks great. The moment that Montez Sweat walked in that building last year till now, Jalen Johnson, like their defense looks great.
I'll say this. I mean, I don't know if you guys watch Hard Knocks. I think he's a little bit of a better coach than I think we gave him credit for.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I agree with you.
He's been great with Caleb, and I think he's a little bit. I think he knows what he's doing. And again, I think this year might kind of be, we'll see how it goes. I think Chicago's going to be a very, very good football team next year.
See, that's the one thing though with Hard Knocks. Like, I think we realized that we like Matt Eberflus more than we thought we did before. Like, he seems like a cool guy in the locker room, but I don't know if there was anything specific that I saw in Hard Knocks that makes me say, hey, that guy is a good coach. Like, I almost feel like, I know we're going to get into them soon, and I'm not even saying it's his fault, but I almost feel like this is so reminiscent of the Jets Hard Knocks.
I knew it.
Like, it's literally what it feels like. Robert Saleh, like, I know to the core, like, I believe to the core that Robert Saleh can coach, but like, there's going to be a point where the Jets go 7-10 or they go 8-9. We're going to say, hey, how good is this guy? Like, with all the talent they have there. And with Eberflus, granted, like, I know they won week 1 and they look great on Hard Knocks. Like, I love how he had control of the team, but that doesn't necessarily mean, like, I can't just forget what I've seen in the last 2 years before they had Caleb Williams and Keenan Allen and Rome and all DJ Moore and all these guys. Yeah,
but they weren't his team.
Correct.
Like, and here's my problem. It's my whole issue with the Chicago Bears forever. And if they're going to give Eberflus the keys to the franchise and they draft Caleb Williams, even if they have a bad year, they need to let him coach another year. You can't keep doing this. They did it for 3 straight quarterbacks. 3 straight quarterbacks. They had John Fox. They drafted Mitch Trubisky. They fired Mitch Trubisky. They fired John Fox. Matt Nagy took over a quarterback that wasn't his. Matt Nagy comes in. His last year, they draft Justin Fields. His last year, Justin Fields barely touches the field. He gets fired. Then Eberflus comes in with a quarterback that's not his. This is the first time they've married the coach to the quarterback.
Again, there's a lot still left to be desired with the schedule. I'm just saying that we can all agree Chicago had no business winning that football game. I'm not saying that's Matt Eberflus's fault, but we can agree that Chicago should have started off the year 0-1.
Yeah,
and I would say,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I would say that if this is last year, we're gonna be like, oh, this is the same Bears team that we've seen, in years past, where they, we've seen Justin Fields go out and have commanding leads of games, and they go out and just blow it. Granted, they were playing from behind a lot in this game up until the pick 6, but I mean, I'm saying for me personally, there was nothing that I saw specifically in that game where I said, hey, maybe Matt Eberflus has turned the corner. I think I like him more as a person because of Hard Knocks, but I don't necessarily know if I have any different opinion on his coaching philosophy one game in a year, just based on what I saw even with them.
You haven't watched Hard Knocks and had a worse opinion on a team? I have, and I get it. Like, like when I watch Hard Knocks with the Miami Dolphins and Joe Philbin was the coach, I'm like, oh, they're gonna suck. He is awful. Like I walked away from that Hard Knocks like, oh. Like I don't mean to be like what was it? Who was the Bengals coach? Was it Marv Lewis when they did Hard Knocks?
Yep.
I walked away. I'm like, ugh. Marv doesn't have control of that team. Not happening, bro.
Like, I mean, even with the Browns, like I when they had Hugh Jackson on there, I'm like, I see
why this another one. That's another one.
I see why this team didn't win a game while he was coaching there.
Correct. That's another one. But like with Saleh, the only thing I didn't like about Robert Saleh during his Hard Knocks is, man, he was a huge cheerleader for Aaron Rodgers. It felt weird. It felt like weird. man, that guy's really good. Like, you see his facial expressions. Like, it was like he was enamored with the player instead of coaching him.
Well, I mean, it's also like you think you just got like the coolest toy that nobody else has too, and he thinks that's the key. That's the key to him, having a good season and making a run. It took a Charles point. I'll tell you this: that team this year goes, 7-10, 8-9, or something like that. He's gone.
Hard. Yeah,
he's gone. So,
but I don't think they will.
I don't think so either. I mean,
none of us do. We all picked them to win the division, go to playoffs. So, and I don't want to just go off of judging 1 week because they played the 49ers who were in the Super Bowl last year. But I'm just saying if that trend
and if anyone knows how to play against Robert Saleh's defense, it's Kyle Shanahan. Let's just be clear there.
Of course.
But I don't want to go too deep in this. I do want to get a lot of the 1 o'clock games because I do want to talk about the Steelers, Falcons. I do want to talk about the Dolphins, Jaguars. By the way, guys, listen. I will be the first person to stand in line of the Trevor Lawrence fan club and I'm a Trevor Lawrence fan. Hold on. Let me hear me out here. Hear me out. But there's got to be a couple people that agree to stand in the line and be like, I'm a Trevor Lawrence hater. And no matter what he does, I'm just going to hate on it. And hear me out when I say this. All right. Maybe he doesn't have the clutch gene. Maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe him and Justin Fields lack that last 5 minutes. I don't know. I seen it his freshman year when they beat Alabama in the national championship. He had the clutch gene then. But maybe he doesn't have it in the NFL. But to put any blame, 1% blame on Trevor Lawrence for Sunday, I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we watched. He was incredible for 3 quarters. They're running the football into the end zone to go up 24-7 in the 4th quarter. The game is over. Travis Etienne fumbles the ball in the end zone. The next play is an 80-yard touchdown. I have the game script. I'm going to read it to you because for whatever reason, this is the game script after this play, right? They fumble the ball going into the end zone, 17-14 instead of 24-7. Whole game changes. Here's the game script. Ready? Run, punt. Get the ball back. The Dolphins missed the field goal to make it 17-14. Run, punt. They get the ball back again after the Dolphins make the field goal to make it 17-17. Run, sack, incomplete, drop. No, let me be very clear. Run, sack, dropped pass, incompletion, punt. Never touched the ball again. How you let him throw the football one friggin' time at the end of that game at 17-14, 17-14, and 17-17 is beyond me. Now, here's the argument. I'll give you the argument against that. He's got to have enough credence to be able to check the ball at the line of scrimmage and audible and be able to call for a pass when he needs to. If he doesn't see what he needs to see in that offense, he has to be able to pass. I don't know if they trust him. They just paid him $250 million. I don't know if they trust him. And that's fair. That's a fair question. But there's no chance you watch that football game and we're like, Trevor was the problem. There's no way. I don't understand it. Help me understand. Help me.
So the reality situation is this is the NFL, and you score 17 points in the first half and you score 0 in the second half. Quarterbacks ought to get some blame one way or another. I understand Travis Etienne fumbled into the end zone. Should have scored there, 100%. Doesn't excuse not scoring in the second half. I'm not saying it's all Trevor's fault, but when you're a quarterback,
he fumbled the ball in the end zone.
And that wasn't the only time they had the ball the entire second half. Okay. When you're a quarterback in an NFL team, if your team's not going down to score, some of the blame is going to get put on your shoulders. I'm not saying it's all Trevor's fault. I'm not saying the majority of it is his fault. I understand you gotta play the hand that you're dealt, but at the same time, again, when you're put in that position, you gotta go make the plays. I get it. Receivers drop passes. We've seen that across all of the NFL. We can't just make that excuse for Trevor Lawrence. If the Bears don't go and win that game, we talked about Keenan Allen dropping a touchdown. We're not going to be talking about, well, Keenan Allen dropped that one touchdown. Caleb Williams played bad the entire game. And I granted, I know the situations aren't apples to apples because Trevor wasn't bad the entire game. But
bad at all.
Like I said, you have to, you gotta score. That's the name of the game.
I mean, I get it, but when you throw a ball and it hits a guy right in the hands and he drops it, is that his fault? He had Christian Kirk right in the hands.
Depends who
you
it
can
is.
cherry pick that from
Christian
every
Kirk,
game.
Evan Ingram. That's the two biggest drops of the game. Both 20-yard plays.
That's not what I'm talking about. This is literally the carbon copy argument last year that we had with Justin Herbert.
I knew exactly where this was going.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, Justin would like a word. He would like a word.
Sure. But you argued for it, so stay on the right side.
That's fine. And you said we were wrong. So which one is it?
No, what I said was there's got to be a time where
Quentin Johnson 40 yards down the field in stride, and he's dropping it, and they're punting. You're like, Justin Herbert sucks.
That's not what I said.
It sounds eerily familiar. It sounds eerily familiar.
They don't score in the second half. They lose the game, and
Justin Herbert didn't play bad in the Chargers versus Jacksonville playoff game, and you put that whole game on him. Why? Because they didn't score in the second half. I'm just saying, it sounds eerily similar. It's a lot of things are coming back up to the surface here. But to your original question, Trevor Lawrence didn't play bad. I don't think he played great by any means. But I wouldn't put other like kind of like what Charles said, other than the optics part of it of what blame he's going to get for the offense not scoring. No, I mean I don't think he really shoulders any of the credit for them losing on Sunday. But being a $250 million quarterback who didn't score in the second half, he's going to get some flack in the media, and that's just the optic, and that's the part of being the big guy and being the quarterback. And being the guy that came into the league as, the kind of, the next can't miss thing. So, and here we are.
I will say this. Danny Dempsey has an absolute point here, but I will say this. I'll tell you right now, Jim Harbaugh's not going to mess with him, because you watch with that, and we'll get in the 4:00 games in a second. You watch what that Chargers team look like 1 week in. The toughness level change on Control-Alt-Delete, man. Joe Alt was incredible. The toughness level change of the Chargers was absurd. And it's very eerily similar of, by the way, did anybody have a better defensive day on the football field than TJ Watt? I don't know if I've ever seen a guy completely wreck a game like that. Like Myles Garrett's done it once or twice, but TJ Watt was absolutely unguardable, unblockable everywhere. He had that sack, strip, fumble, recovery. He had like the octo, like everything. He was unbelievable.
You got to look at just like how, if you're just looking at a fan standpoint, look how lucky, if you're a fan of football, how lucky you've been the last 10 years to watch JJ, watch TJ, watch Miles, Micah, the Bosa brothers. I mean, they're almost all guaranteed to go in the Hall of Fame, right? The defensive ends that have just been in the league the last couple of years are just ridiculous. And TJ Watt he's one of those guys every year you can make an argument he should win Defensive Player of the Year. Doesn't get it every year, but
if it was after week 1, he's my vote right now.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on TJ Watt, or is that not allowed in a Browns household?
No, I mean TJ is incredible. I'll give him his props whenever.
He got real quiet when we start talking about Steelers.
Whenever he earns them.
I would not want to talk about Cowboy.
Yeah, I mean TJ is TJ. He's one of the guys on that team that I know you always got to account for. Him and Minka being on the same team. I mean, all the two guys, you got to absolutely know exactly where they are every single time. So for sure, TJ, did his thing. He's always going to do his thing. He's always going to have at least 15, 16 sacks every single year, because that's just who he is. So, I mean, that just feels like a normal Sunday shift for him. So that was really the reason why I was kind of like, it's TJ. We're used to this. We're expecting this from him.
4:00 hour. I kind of want to braze through the Seahawks Broncos. There's not really much to see the eyes. It looked like two bad football teams that are not ready yet. Kenneth Walker looked really good. Other than that, the game was very ugly, if we're being honest.
Geno stinks.
It was a terrible game, period. Let's just be very clear there. The second game, I kind of want to breeze through, and I just want to breeze through it. The Chargers, Raiders, and I don't want to breeze through it too much because I want to give Jim his credit. Control-Alt-Delete was incredible, Joe Alt. And that Chargers defense, and particularly the interior of their line, controlled the line of scrimmage versus a pretty good Raiders offensive line. I want to give Jim credit. That team's toughness just looks different already. But I kind of want to breeze through those two games. The games I want to fixate on in the 4 o'clock hour are the old and the new. What I mean by that is the old Cleveland quarterback and the new Cleveland quarterback. Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker looks resurgent, man. I was one of the non-Baker believers. I was 100%. He's going to fall off this year. He's not it. Cottrell convinced me completely. The guy sucks. And I watched it. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. He definitely holds on to the ball a little bit much. He tries to make the hero play. I don't know what coach got in his ear. And maybe it's just one game this year. Maybe he'll fall off, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the Commanders' secondary is just that bad. And Dan Quinn didn't turn them around at all. And that's fair. That could happen. But he just looks good. He looks good. I seen the mic'd up moment where he said, "Oh, they don't double Mike. Evans. I'm throwing him the ball. I'm throwing," and I just love the confidence that he had. He's always had confidence, but it looked different this Sunday. Did it look different to you two?
If you're being honest, this is how he finished the year last year. If you paid attention, they weren't a great team, but he played really well down the stretch last year with that offense. I was a guy that was kind of in a weird spot with Baker. I think there was times he underperformed in Cleveland, and I understood the moving on. But at the same time, I think he kind of got a shitty deal at the end of Cleveland too. So, I think he went to a place where everybody in the building believes in him again and knows he's the guy. And I think you're seeing it transition to the field. He has 2 great wide receivers. He's got Rashad White and Bucky Irvin, who had a nice, pretty nice little game for his first game out. A decent offensive line. I think Tampa Bay is going to score points. I do. Again, we don't know how really bad Washington is, and the Saints just beat the hell out of Carolina. So that's
Aiden Daniels can't run the ball 16 times.
Yeah,
that can't happen.
No. So, but I would tell you that, I think we were across the board. We were saying Atlanta was going to win the South. I don't think. I think Tampa Bay looked a lot better than I thought they were going to. And again, I don't know how really bad Washington is, but
not the same, Mike. Not the same. He said move for Baker can compare with the move for Stafford, in my opinion. No. Matthew Stafford had Pro Bowl years and was very, very good in Detroit.
Matthew Stafford was throwing for almost 5,000 yards a year on a team that just couldn't give up less than 34 points every game. I really think that's a lot of it. I think Baker's comfortable down there. I think he's a very good offense. I think he's surrounded by weapons, good line, and I think he has the absolute backing of that coaching staff in that locker room. And I think that's what you're seeing on the field. I think he's comfortable, physically and mentally, and that confidence is showing in the way he plays right now.
I'll lead this right into Cottrell. I'm going to get Cottrell to. This is going to be the first on Wire2Wire. He's going to say something. This is going to be the first time on Wire2Wire, and he's going to admit it. I know he is. I know Cottrell. Cottrell is my guy. It's my man, $100,000. Cottrell, if you could delete the contracts, if you could delete the trade, you'd have it all back. Would you have kept Baker Mayfield or had it over Deshaun Watson?
No.
What? Explain.
Everybody knew he was going to say no, except you.
So I think the part that everyone conveniently keeps forgetting is that this is Baker Mayfield's 3rd team since he's left the Browns. Like, he went to Carolina, wasn't that good. He went to LA with McVay. He learned, wasn't good enough for them to keep him around. And then he went to Tampa Bay, and he's been flourishing there.
Like time out.
No, I don't want to give you. You're right.
What do you mean?
But I don't know if it's that organization, right?
We weren't keeping him over Stafford. So unless he was willing to be like, I'll just sit on the bench for the next 5 years and be the backup.
I'm
Like,
saying
he went
to Tampa. There was no guarantee that he was going to be the star at that time. There was no guarantee that he was just going to come in and be the starter there. Now, I will say this: I give Baker in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but he was
at
gonna
that
have
point
the chance
coming
to.
up for sure.
That's
For
that's
sure,
why he
have the
went there.
chance.
He had no chance of being the starter in LA.
You're right.
Okay.
But I'm just saying
Keep going.
this is his third team since he's left the Browns, and I'll give Baker a ton of credit for. He's a former number 1 overall pick. The script was essentially written for him. Like at that point when he was done in Carolina, he in reality should be what Sam Darnold is right now. Like, you know, he's the backup quarterback. He can step up, he can play, he can win games for you at the time, but he's not your guy. To his credit, I think that humbled him to an extent, and he went to Tampa Bay. He's put his head down. You haven't heard anything about Baker Mayfield at all. Positive, negative, anything. I feel like every time that, you know, when he was in Carolina, you would hear stories about him, you know, who he's getting into it with and things like that, or just bad quotes from him in the media. He's been nothing short of like a model citizen down there in Tampa Bay. And I give him a ton of credit in the world there. But what I'm not going to do is just come on here and say that, hey, we made the wrong decision. If Cleveland felt like they couldn't win a championship with Baker Mayfield, you could not like how the whole thing went down. But if you felt like you couldn't win a championship with Baker Mayfield, why not try to go make a better play for yourself? Like, I don't know why you wouldn't go do that. And the other thing as well is Baker played great at the end of last season. Are we forgetting that the Washington Commanders had the 2nd overall pick in the draft this past year? There's a ton of quarterbacks that would have went and threw for 4 touchdowns on them in that game yesterday. It's not to take away from what he did, but there's a ton of Sam Darnold threw for 4 touchdowns. You think the Jets are like, hey, we drafted our franchise quarterback here. Maybe we should have waited on him and not took Zach Wilson, or we shouldn't have went and got Aaron Rodgers, who's going to be gone in a year or two. Like, no, that'd be silly. So I mean, I can't overreact off of one game here, even though I saw the end of how last season went. I think time will tell. If you ask me this question a year and a half from now, that answer may be different, but time's going to tell, and I'm not going to overreact off of one game.
Well, it's not one game. Let's be fair. It's not one game for Deshaun Watson. It's not one game for Baker Mayfield. Can we legitimately say for the last 10 games that both those guys played, Baker Mayfield's clearly been the better quarterback?
Deshaun Watson was 5-1 as a starter last year, and beat Baltimore. Like his last game, he beat Baltimore, played great.
So just to be clear, how many of those 6 games would you say he played great? That he was 5-1 last year? Because I'm going to be honest, I think the whole world thinks the Cleveland Browns defense was the reason they were 5-1. And Joe Flacco showed that defense can carry just about anybody to the playoffs.
You can think that, but then go look at the teams that he beat. He beat a Cincinnati Bengals team that had Joe Burrow. He beat a Ravens team that had Lamar. That went on to win 8 games in a row after that. You look at who Joe Flacco beat. Every team that they beat didn't make the playoffs. When they beat the Texans that did make the playoffs, guess who didn't play? CJ Stroud. Joe Flacco didn't beat anybody over 500. And that's the one thing that, like, no one looks at the details of it. They look at just the outside, just kind of, you know, aerial view of things. Look at how everything was when Deshaun played. Like I said, he outplayed Joe Burrow. When he played Lamar in that game, he outplayed Lamar in that game, and ultimately was the reason why they won the game. Had a perfect second half, probably played the best half of football that he's played since he's been in Cleveland, and then he got hurt. Not to mention, again, I can't write off Deshaun, and I know we're going to go into the Cleveland game here, but
yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Just got some numbers here. Quarterbacks returning from season-ending injuries from last season, how they played in week 1. I won't even name the names. I'll go over them after. One quarterback, 167, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, loss. Another quarterback, 164, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, loss. Another quarterback, 144 yards, 1 touchdowns, no interceptions, win. Only quarterback, by the way, to be coming back from a season-ending injury that won. Next quarterback got 4 more, 155 yards, 1 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, loss. Another quarterback, 186, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, loss. Then you get to Deshaun, 169, touchdowns, 2 picks, loss. Played terrible. I'm not afraid to admit that. And then the last one, 212, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, loss. So all these guys that came back from season-ending injuries last year, they didn't come out the gate hot. So I'm not ready to just write him off because the first game against the Cowboys defense, that was pretty good last year. He didn't look great. Like, I'm just not ready to jump ship off of this one game.
It's to me, it's not the one game. It's the mechanics. It's the way you look. We talked about this through text. And it could be the shoulder injury. It could be whatever. It could be something. But if you go back and watch, and this is what I did. I spent like the last 2 days watching old Deshaun Watson from Houston. And even old Deshaun Watson, all his highlights, just Google Deshaun Watson highlights Houston. Hardly any of them are him dropping back into a clean pocket and throwing the football. Almost all of them are made with his athleticism, throwing on the run, throwing off of play action and running around and evading someone. I don't think he's ever been a great pocket passer. I just think when the athleticism starts to go and you're playing in a colder environment and now your injuries add up, age adds up, missing seasons add up, he just looks like the worst quarterback in the NFL. And I don't mean to say that. I would be lying to you if I didn't say I questioned who is better between him and Daniel Jones. I would be lying to you if I didn't say I questioned who is better between him and Daniel Jones. I think that he's probably better than Daniel Jones. He's probably a step better than Will Levis. But I don't know any quarterbacks I would take him over right now based off of what I've seen as far as his mechanics, his footwork, the way he steps to throw, his worm killing abilities. Like he's planted. It's so almost
when they go play the Commanders 3 weeks from now, I think they play the Commanders and the Giants back-to-back weeks. He goes for 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against those awful defenses.
Then we can revisit the conversation.
We're having a different conversation. But
100%. But that's a what if, right? That's a what if. What if he goes through those games and throws for 150 and they lose?
The Cowboys defense we're talking about. Like,
that's fair.
We're acting like they just won against a horrible, horrible team. Again, I can't not act like I didn't see the games from last year is all I'm saying.
Okay. It's interesting. Well, actually, the only game left I want to really go over before we get into Sunday night and Monday night, and we'll just be quick on this, but I don't want to be too quick on this. It's the biggest upset of the weekend. This is almost as bad as Notre Dame losing. The Cincinnati Bengals went out at home and lost to the New England Patriots. A New England Patriots team where their over-under is like 4.5. Like, it's bad, right? Like, they're a bad football team. Let's give Gerard Mayo his credit. That team came out and played inspired football. I don't want to take anything away from what the Patriots did in that game. However, Cincinnati looks like a dumpster fire. They look like an absolute dumpster fire. Jamar Chase, if I'm a Browns, Ravens, or Steelers fan, I hope to play him in the next couple weeks. He is not trying. He is not trying. Don't even have him suit up if he's going to do that. On routes in which he was throwing, like maybe receptions to him he probably ran 30% of his routes crisp. Any route in which he was a decoy, he didn't move. It was bad to watch, and it was ugly football. And with that being said, yeah, the Bengals look like they're in a world of trouble. T. Higgins looks like he's not going to play this week. Jamar still does not have a contract, and they're going into play in Arrowhead this week in Kansas City. I don't like that matchup for Cincinnati one bit. Extended rest, Andy Reid versus already hobbled Bengals team. Your thoughts on the Bengals?
I would say they're probably the dud of the week. Like you said, against a Patriots team that not really anybody's really expecting anything out of this year, other than developing people. And, like you said, Jared Mayo kind of getting his values and his toughness and everything into that team. I don't even know what the Patriots win total was, but it had to be low, the over under for the year. If you're a Bengals fan, I think there's a legit cause for concern. I'm not saying they can't turn it around. I'm not saying Burrow won't play better this week. I think he'll get up for a big game, against Kansas City and Burrows. But if that is how Jamar Chase is going to play until he gets paid, I don't know you can keep putting him out in the field. because the second they snap the ball, if he doesn't run, he's not getting the ball. You can just go run somewhere else. They didn't look good, and I'll be honest, they didn't look good defensively either. I mean, New England just kind of started running the ball down their throat, and there wasn't a whole lot of adjustments to be made there.
Sorry. Oh, it's so bad.
It's concerning. If you're a Bengals fan, you were showing up opening day being like, this is going to be a win. Let's get Joe back in the flow after being hurt. Get Jamar Chase a couple catches, get him off the field, blah, 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 blah. And that is not what happened.
No.
They honestly, they got dominated. They weren't in that game. I wouldn't want to be a Bengals fan right now. I think there's way more question marks than there is answers right now.
Agreed. And I think the other part that, kind of haven't really gotten to yet is I don't think Joe Burrow looked comfortable in the game. Normally you see Joe, I'm not saying he's a gunslinger, but a lot of the balls he threw were short. It didn't seem like he was looking for the deeper routes at all in that game. It could be the Patriots had great defensive plan, things like that. But I thought Joe was a lot more conservative than I normally see him in games. And I would think that could just be, the rust from not having true live game action and, not being out there really with your receivers. This is a lot of new parts on that Bengals receiving core outside of Jamar, but even still Jamar hadn't been practicing, all summer to this point. So I think time will definitely tell with them, but you can't necessarily count them out because the Bengals have been notorious slow starters in years past, even when Jamar's healthy and Joe's healthy and all those guys are there. So they definitely can just flip a switch and get it turned around. You kind of saw that last year in the game. They actually lost against the Texans, battling CJ Stroud. It felt like they were turning the corner up until, that Joe Burrow injury there. So I think this is a team that's always going to throw something else back at you, but I would definitely be very, very cautious about buying Bengals stock at the moment.
I'll say this. He was 21 to 29. The Bengals had 2 drops in the game, that's fair for a full football game. That kind of happens. And they fumbled 2 balls within 20 yards of the goal line. So Joe didn't look comfortable. He took 3 sacks, but that team as a whole looks in disarray. They don't look good. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Sunday Night Football, Lions-Rams. Kind of want to quickly touch on that. Great football game. If it wasn't for the Ravens-Chiefs, this is probably game of the week. Sucks. Puka Nacua goes down with an injury. That hurts. Puka's, going to be out for at least 4 weeks. Re-aggravate that knee injury he had. But Cooper Kupp looked like Cooper Kupp old. He was dominant. He was unguardable. 14 catches. Guy was incredible. But the Lions, man, when that game got into overtime, it was smash mouth football. Lions football. We're going to control the line of scrimmage and run the ball down your throat. And they physically imposed themselves to a win. I think the Lions are very, very good.
Lions aren't very good. Like you said, that was just a healthy dose of Dan Campbell smash mouth football. They did it at the end of regulation. They won the coin toss, and they just kept turning around and handing the ball off to David Montgomery because the Rams couldn't stop them. Went right down the field and scored. Listen, everybody's high on Detroit, and that's why. This is a team that's been continually on the rise the last couple of years. Honestly, I think a lot of people really started paying attention, because of Hard Knocks, and kind of really fell in love with Dan Campbell. He's doing Applebee's commercials now. But they're a very good football team. They're a very complete, sound football team. Jared Goff, another guy, went there, found a home, found a team, found a front office that believes in him, got his money. 2 really good running backs. Jameson Williams finally is starting to be, the guy that we all thought he was going to be. Seems to have calmed down the BS and got his head on straight. Now he's just playing football, and the kid's very athletically gifted. He's going to be a very good wide receiver, playing next to St. Brown. And they got a hungry defense. They got a very good, aggressive defense. That is a very, very good football team.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too with the Lions is they seemingly, it feels like, flipped the switch in that game. For Amon-Ra to not be as productive as you would expect in that game, and then for them to just move the ball still effectively late, especially like after they were down, and then obviously in overtime as well. That just shows you that this team has all the pieces that they need to make it to where they want to go. I mean, if Jameson Williams can consistently do that, take the top off of defense and make defenses play honest like that, and they're also able to feed Dave Montgomery and feed Jahmyr Gibbs while still having one of, best route runners in the game and Amon-Ra underneath, I think you're gonna have a shot to score with the best of them. And then defensively, I think it's gonna just take a little bit more time for that team to gel. But I love the talent they have everywhere there. And on the flip side of for the Rams, I mean, I know I didn't have them going to the playoffs this year. I think both of you guys did. If Cooper Kupp stays healthy all year long and he's getting those kinds of targets and things like that, and he has that connection back going with Staffy, I mean, I think that Rams offense can take this team where they want to go. Still not a big believer in the defense. I think there's pieces that need to be added for me to seriously trust them. But from what I saw, every defense isn't going to be as stingy with the rushing attack as what that Lions team was. I think Kyron Williams, with that kind of workload against a lot of other teams, is going to have a lot more success. So I think that Rams team, obviously you need Puka to get back and get healthy. But I think that Rams team has a higher ceiling than even I originally thought going into the season.
And then quickly, just cover one more game, and then we'll get into trivia, and then we'll do our previews. But 49ers, Jets, Monday Night Football. The story heard around the world, Christian McCaffrey, and then they asked Jordan Mason about it after the game, and he goes, "Oh, I knew I was starting Friday." And he definitely got in trouble for that, because when he got to the press conference, he goes, "This is why I'm pissed off." I'm like, well, it was nobody else's fault. They asked when you knew you were starting. They were hoping to hear 1 hour or 30 minutes. Like, you were the one that volunteered and said Friday. And then he got mad. He's like, just why I don't talk to the media. You made the mistake. Like, what? Why? And I 100% believe they knew he was starting Friday. I 100%.
Exactly. This is on Kyle. This is 100% on Kyle. You take the bullet for your player. Yeah, we told him he was starting Friday. We didn't know what his workload was going to be. We thought McCaffrey can get mixed in there and utilize him on certain downs. We realized game time that wasn't the case. Like, that's all you have to say there. You don't have to go out and, like, embarrass the kid. And granted, they didn't say anything to the media, but you can tell that they were like, hey, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here?
He got in that press conference afterwards, after the on-field interview. He was a different, like, you were talking about a guy that won player of the game, Monday Night Football, and he was upset. And that sucks.
And I mean, I think it looks even worse now for the 49ers, especially if McCaffrey doesn't play this week. So it's like, obviously you guys didn't think he can go game time. He's not ready 2 weeks later. So I don't know how Shanahan didn't defend it. His guys in that situation there. I get it. If you talk to him on the side, like, hey, when they ask you this question, like, moving forward, we don't want you to necessarily say Friday, but you can tell it was way more than that, because he came in visibly like, I mean, guy just had a career game, not only for a guy that just got his first start, but for any running back. Like, you can talk about Derrick Henry. If Derrick Henry has that game, he's ecstatic even now. Like, so I just think they handled it very poorly, and I think a lot of that goes to Kyle Shanahan.
They're going to get fined.
100, and they should get fined. They definitely did misdiagnose what was going on. And that's obviously what happened. Let's talk about the game for a second. 49ers, Jets. Guys, I don't take this the wrong way. 49ers are a juggernaut. They're going to be one of the top teams in the NFC. I had them as the number one seed when we were doing the projections. They're going to be a great team. I definitely picked the Jets to win this football game. I walked away from that game not upset with my pick of the Jets winning the Super Bowl. Does that sound crazy? I don't think they looked like, I think, just be very clear. I think Kyle Shanahan did an incredible job of schematically running the football. And what I mean by that is that zone blocking scheme reminded me a lot of, I don't know, another guy named Shanahan, good old Mike, and that Denver zone blocking scheme, that the blockers, you don't know where they're coming from. Like, you're the defensive tackle and you're lined up next to the guard and center, and here comes the right tackle to smack. Like, you just don't know where it's coming from, and it schemes open running lanes. 49ers could be a very good team this year, guys.
I mean, I think they've been a very good team. And I think if you are a 49ers fan, I think you have to be happy that, they debatably didn't have their best player and they still went out and beat the top 3 or 4 defense, in the league. In regards to your pick, I wouldn't be, I don't know what the right word is. I mean, I wouldn't be upset or anything like that. It's week 1, traveled across the country. First game for Aaron Rodgers really in like 2 years. And they're playing debatably the best team in the NFL.
Yeah.
So I think you saw a lot of rust on Aaron Rodgers. I think the offensive line needs to be a little bit better. They got to get Breece Hall going. His numbers were super duper inflated from that last drive.
He wasn't in the last drive. Taylor finished the game.
I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers, I'm talking about Breece Hall.
Oh, Breece Hall. Sorry. My apologies.
I think Garrett looked good. If there was, honest to God, if there was any concern for me, it would be the defense. I didn't think
John Reddick was sitting at home like.
Yeah. It didn't help their cause with him, but at the same time, I mean, he's going to be losing. He's going to become a hated person in that locker room soon.
Oh, 100%.
There's not going to be a friendly locker room for him to come back to.
I
just don't. I like a chug. I just don't think the Jets are really off course per se. I think it's just a really like we said last week when we previewed it. Like if you're the Jets, like who the hell do we got to who's the ass we have to kiss to get a nice easy opening game for Aaron Rodgers? And like, nah, we're going to ship you across the country to play the 49ers Monday Night Football. Like it's just brutal. That's a brutal way to open the season.
It is.
I was going to say, I think the only thing like with this Jets team, I mean, we talk about it all the time. Styles make fights. Jets are equipped to stop passes. And if you could have got ahead on the 49ers and made them pass the ball, I think they'd have been in a better situation. When you knew they were running the ball at you and your strength of your team is, granted, defensive line is obviously a big strength, but the major strength of your team is the secondary, and they don't really have to pass the ball because they're running it all over you. I mean, I think it makes it tough even for, a team as talented as the Jets defensively. So I definitely wouldn't be out on the Jets or anything like that. And I think it would be kind of naive to have thought that Aaron Rodgers was just going to come in and look like the 4-time MVP that he was first game back from the injuries. Again, I read off the list of all the quarterbacks that had subpar games statistically coming off those injuries. I mean, after seeing those Monday night, I knew Aaron Rodgers was going to come in looking a little slow. But if you're a Jets fan, I think you look at it kind of optimistically. Breece Hall looked like he could be a bell cow for you. Allen Lazard looked like he could potentially be your number 1 receiver, and you still got Mike Williams to, get into the fold, and you got Malachi Corley as a second-round pick last year to be another weapon for you. So I look at it as well like, hey, offensive line was a big issue for you last year. And granted, I'm not saying they played great, but they looked a lot. You can get away with that. If that's what that offensive line looks like against San Francisco, you can get away with that offensive line against anybody in the entire league all season. So I think you have some positives to take away from the game, although it didn't quite go your way. Still think Jets are going to be a great team this year.
All right, let's get into trivia, and then we'll do some overreaction, underreaction, some preview, and then some NCAA football. A little behind, but that's okay. We'll catch up.
All right, so trivia this week. I want to do something a little bit different. Bill's gonna, on the surface, not be too happy about it, but I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be as bad as he thinks. So we're going to the hardwood. We're going to the NBA.
I knew that was coming.
So we have all time players with the most career playoff games that did not win a championship.
Oh God. Now I know what you're doing, scumbag. Exactly what you're doing. And because I'm the reigning champ, I'm going to take that name right off the goddamn list. I know exactly where you're going. Chris Paul.
Chris Paul is number 5.
I hate you.
149 games, not making the playoffs.
I hate you.
Not making the playoffs. Wait,
not winning a championship. Not winning a championship. Not winning a championship. So they played in a ton of playoff games, never won a championship.
There's a bunch.
And
You
I don't
should be
think
able
we
to
go
rattle off a ton here.
agreed. And I don't think we go strikes here because I do think some of these are a little hard, but I think you guys can realistically get at least 7 of the 10.
I have 4, 100% off the top of that.
Charles Barkley.
Charles Barkley is not on the list. He's actually number 20.
I'm gonna give Shally a free one.
Yeah, I know you are.
I'm gonna give him a free one because I'm gonna go Stockton.
Stockton is number 2, 182 games.
A free one, brother.
Karl Malone.
Karl Malone is number 1, 193
Free
games.
one. Okay, and the other one I know that should be on this list is Reggie Miller because he played so many playoff games and just couldn't get over the Jordan hump.
Reggie Miller is number 8 at 144.
That's my list right now. I don't know where I'm going from here. I have 3 though, so I think that'll be a good start.
It's probably going to win. Patrick Ewing.
Patrick Ewing is a great guess. He's actually number 13 though, at 139.
I mean, actively, James Harden's got to be close. James Harden.
Big?
Yeah.
James Harden is number 4, 166 games.
Okay.
I will say you guys got the, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got the 5 easiest. I do still think you can get 2 more off of this list, but you guys got the 5 easiest so far.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking of big. Like I see, it's tough to think of players that. Well, I think I have another one. Just check the chat. I'm just kidding.
No, don't want anything in the chat. What about Dame? Hasn't played enough.
I mean, that's.
I don't think he's on there. I don't think he's been in the playoffs. No. Harden was what? Harden was number 1 with how many?
He was number 4. Number 4, 166 games.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably. I would assume you probably got to be somewhere around like 140 to get on this list, if not more.
I don't think it's that high. I think it's probably about 100, 110.
I don't think he's playing that many playoff games.
Okay. I will say this, Bill. After you go, I do think these next 5 are going to be tough. I'll just throw out. Unless Gene, you got a ton more.
No, I don't have one right now. I'm
okay.
I have a couple guesses, and they're on the same wavelength that he's at.
Okay, fair enough. So after Bill goes, just to keep it even here, I'll throw some hints out.
I really thought Ewing was going to be on the list because I thought I was going to go him.
Ewing is surprising.
He's very close.
I thought him and Charles were locks. I thought I was at least going to get 2, and I'd be like, all right, see where it goes from there. What about did Drexler win one? I'll go Clyde Drexler.
That was my next pick.
Clyde Drexler is not in the top 20.
I would 100%. That would have been my next pick.
This question's ass.
So the problem is this, right? I would have said Gary Payton, but he won one in Miami, and I think that screws me there. The other one I was thinking was Dame, and you didn't say Dame, so I might steal that. But there's another guy that I think. What did you? I'm not going to stop. Control says give me a hint, so I'm waiting for a hint.
All right. So as far as teams go, I'll go like the most popular team. Number 3's most popular team is Seattle.
Okay.
I would say number 6's most popular team Might be Philadelphia.
Philadelphia.
Number 7's most popular team is going to be Indiana. Number 9's most popular team is going to be the Knicks. And then number 10, I kind of go. I would say the Seahawks, the Seattle with number 10 as well.
All right, I'm gonna just throw it out there. Sean Kemp.
Sean Kemp is not the answer. No, not on the list.
Not even top 20. The Rain Man didn't make it in the top 20, or did he win a chip somewhere?
The Rain Man is not in the top 20.
Did he win a chip somewhere? That might have been. He could have snuck on the chip list.
There's a couple that I'm surprised you guys haven't gone yet.
Okay.
Seattle's interesting now.
That's where I went when he said Seattle.
I know. I thought it was going to count too. There's only one other name I can even think of that even makes sense.
Oh, I know exactly. Is he white? No one throws it down just like Detlef Schrempf.
Detlef Schrempf.
I love Detlef.
He's awesome in NBA Jam. No, I think he's a big guy. I'll go. What about Derek Coleman?
DC.
Derek Coleman.
Pretty see DC won a championship.
Derek Coleman's not on the list.
He was on the bench of that Detroit team. Just my. Okay, you said Philadelphia.
I did.
I just don't think it'd be him. I don't think he played enough.
You talking about Allen?
Yeah.
Allen did make a lot of playoff appearances, though.
It's true.
I'll go Allen because he was. Give me AI.
No,
not. It is not AI.
Okay.
All right.
We probably wouldn't have said maybe Philadelphia though.
Okay. Okay. Let me do this as well.
Hold on. I think I know the Seattle guy.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think if it's not him, I really. Because he was there for a while and he was good. I'll go Sam Perkins.
Sam Perkins, what a pull. Number 3, 167.
I probably wouldn't have got Sam Perkins.
I thought you guys could have got Sam after the hint. And I will say, I was going to say before him as well, but none of these guys remaining, I wouldn't classify them as superstars.
Okay.
Christ.
So
what is it? 3-2?
4-2. I have 4.
Who are your 4?
I have 4.
He's got Stockton, Harden, Paul, and Reggie.
Okay. 4-2.
I make Bucks like I'm not doing that. Stop doing that in the chat. See, the only one that I could think of that you'd say kind of 76ers, that's a role player. I think he won a championship with LeBron, so I don't think it's Kyle Korver. Like I'm trying to think of a role player that kind of played for the 76ers. Role player 76ers. Is it no Iguodala one with Golden State?
A couple of Golden State.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out like who I'd go with at this point. I'm Dana, no. Spoon, no. I guess Kyle Korver. Did he win one with on 2015 Cleveland?
Kyle Korver is number 6.
Okay, I don't know how.
145.
Did he not win? He wasn't on the 15 Cleveland team. That was Mike Miller, wasn't it?
He didn't come. Well, no. He didn't come to Cleveland until 17. That was after they won.
I thought he was with LeBron for a few years.
I mean, couple 17, 18, but it was after. Those were the KD Warriors years that he was there.
Okay.
Was that the Sixer guy?
Yes.
I'm not taking my guess then.
Yeah, last 2 are Knicks and Supersonics.
Oh, Knicks. Okay. You should get the Knick probably, right?
And it's not Patrick Ewing.
No, but the other guy. Oh, never mind. Am I close with the other guy? You get what I'm saying? Am I wrong?
Is he there that long? I guess so. It can't be Starks.
I wasn't thinking Starks.
Charles Oakley?
That's
Charles
exactly,
Oakley is number 9.
that's exactly what I was thinking.
144 games.
I said Ewing and the other guy. I mean, Oakley's basically the other guy. That's the one you said for New York, right?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. So we're 5-3. There's 2 left.
Yep.
Okay.
No, there's one left. One left.
So there's only
5-4.
9?
Oh, no. I lied. 5-3. I'm sorry.
So there's 2 left.
Yes.
And who are the 2?
One, I would say more recent, might even still be floating around the league now. I'd say his most famous team, I would say, is Indiana, and then the last one for sure, Supersonics.
Famous team, Indiana. I mean, well, he's not floating around the league. He's not a superstar. I was going to say Pandemic. Pandemic P would be a great answer here. But I look at him as the same. All right, who would be the? I'm not going to get the Supersonic. I'm going to give that up unless it's. Wait, you know what? I'll take a shot. Is it Detlef Schrempf?
No, it is not.
God damn it.
I will say these two are definitely the hardest on the list for sure.
Okay.
So
You want to give Shally another 2 shots, and if you can't get them, then we just move forward?
sure.
Okay. So it's 5-3 at this point. So I don't we got 122 here.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever been as good as Detlef Schrempf? The Bill Walton signed off for Detlef Schrempf was my favorite.
Pacer. Is it Chris Mullen?
That's
Chris
a good
Mullen
one.
is not correct. Not on the list.
Okay. I don't know where to go from here. You said someone's still active, maybe? Pacer?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe active. Like he played last season. Like he was in the NBA last season. I don't know if he has assigned to a team this year.
How many teams has he played for? Is he like a journeyman?
Probably half of them.
Yeah, he's played for a lot.
Is it George Hill?
George Hill is correct.
That makes sense. George Hill played for Utah, Indiana. He's played everywhere. Atlanta. He's played everywhere.
That is it.
That makes sense. Who's the guy we're missing?
The guy you are missing is Derek McKee.
Never would have got that.
Wasn't against Derek.
That's 80s, right?
I figured you wouldn't.
Oh,
no, he
never
wasn't.
would've got that.
He was 90s.
Was he?
90s, early 2000s.
He was on the Gary Payton teams?
I think he may have been gone then, but he was. I think he definitely played with Kemp.
The Rain Man.
You said before he got Corver, I was thinking Jeff Hornacek for a while.
That's a great one.
I
How
think-
close is Hornacek?
Hornacek is actually number 12. That would have been a
God damn it.
Great
guess.
one. That's a great one. Bro, when you said Sixer, I don't know why my mind went to Dana Barros. I'm like, Dana Barros.
There were some interesting people that
Eric
were
Snow.
on this list.
Eric Snow won one, though. Right?
With who?
Oh, you're right.
He
He
was-
did win. I was thinking Cleveland. I don't know why.
He was on that.
I think
team.
everybody wins one with LeBron. I don't know why. You only won one championship in Cleveland, but yet everybody I
Jackson-
picture.
Mark
What?
Jackson was at 16. Paul Millsap John was at 17.
Paul Millsap, a good one.
Russell Westbrook was
I was thinking about him.
21.
Just didn't get enough.
Steve Nash at 24. Joe Johnson at 23.
Bro, I
and,
swear to God, I didn't say Steve Nash. I thought he won one.
Jimmy Butler rounding us out, top 25.
Jimmy Buckets.
All righty.
All right. Ready for some over-under reaction?
Oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait for this because I'm going to overreact to everything.
All right. Well, you're not going to overreact to this one, I guarantee you. Robert Saleh gets fired mid-season.
No. It's overreaction.
It would have to go so incredibly off the road bad for him to get fired mid-season.
All right. I mean, I think it's
Their
overreaction.
defense would have to be really bad for him to get fired.
I mean, I tend to agree.
So you say mid-season, they would have to be 3-7, 2-8 for him to get fired.
Yeah. They have the cupcake schedule coming up. They have the next 4 games. They should be 4-1.
All right, well, I'll just lead right back into that then. Like, staying in the same division. The New England Patriots will not finish last in the AFC East.
That's a super overreaction. There's no way they don't finish last in that division. They stink. The Bengals played awful football and still had a chance to beat them at the end of the game. They're terrible. There's no way. I will bet anything you want they finish last in that division.
I'm with Gene on this one. It's definitely an overreaction.
By the way, the over-under was 4.5, Bill. I wasn't kidding. I know it sounded funny, but they're over-under.
I'll say this. I'm with you guys. I think the Patriots finished last. There is not an ounce in my being that trusts Buffalo right now after the showing that they put out. I know they turned on the second half. Josh looked a lot better in the second half, but that performance scares the hell out of me for sure.
Miami didn't play good either. I mean, one of them is going to be 2-0 after this week, so
true.
I think the moon is 6 wins for New England. And even if Buffalo or Miami, one of them folds and isn't good, I still think they get more than 6 wins.
Fair enough. All right, next one. Kind of lead me off of our Thursday night action. Justin Tucker is no longer the best kicker in the NFL.
No. You know what? That's not an overreaction. That's not an overreaction. He's not the best kicker in the NFL. He's second, but he's not the best kicker in the NFL anymore.
I hope you're saying Aubrey.
That's absolutely correct. That guy drilled a 66-yarder
with room.
He's different, bro.
He's got a big leg. I
think he missed one field goal last year.
Like with accuracy, he kicks in a goddamn dome. So
that was in Cleveland, though.
That was in Cleveland.
Yeah, it's the longevity of it. I don't know if
he's not the greatest of all time, but right now,
that's what I'm saying. We're talking about this because Justin Tucker missed one goddamn kick.
Yeah, you're right.
No, we're also talking about it because I think he missed 5 field goals of over 50 yards last year, like the first time he's ever done that or something like that. So just kind of a continued trend.
That's my point. Like I've talked about this before. It's like most kickers, it's like 58, like into a slight breeze, and like, no, we're punting. They're like, nah, put Tucker out there. Like he's the only one that has that. I'm not going to say it's not an overreaction. I still think it's incredibly close.
I'm going overreaction. I think Aubrey is taking that for me. Move something we kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Jordan Love is the best quarterback in the NFC.
It's an overreaction.
It's not an overreaction. It's not. Who's better than him?
He won one playoff game.
No, but we're talking about right now, right?
Okay. So my statement still stands. He won one playoff game and lost Friday.
Yeah. Do you think that he had the better team Friday?
He beat an overrated Dallas team last year in the playoffs.
Yeah, but if you swap him and Jalen on Friday, do you think that the victor changes? If you swap just the quarterbacks, do you think that the game changes? I think the Eagles still win the football game with Jordan Love instead of Jalen.
Correct. So what's the difference?
So my point being is, I think that the argument would be Jalen, and I think Jordan played better than Jalen.
I think Goff's there. I think Matt Stafford's still there.
Goff and Stafford are good arguments, and that's fair. I can listen to that.
I'm not crowning the kid the best quarterback in the NFC over one.
NFC's got really not a lot of good quarterbacks.
They got enough.
All right, if you were starting a franchise tomorrow and all of them were healthy, who do you take first?
It's a different question.
No, fair, but I'm changing it. I want to ask you. I want to ask you that question.
Move the goal.
No, but I want to ask that question. If you're starting a franchise tomorrow and all of them are healthy, who's your first pick at quarterback? And you can only pick the NFC quarterbacks.
Caleb Williams.
Okay.
That's fair. That's very fair.
That's fair.
Damn. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even think Caleb at first.
I didn't think Caleb
I'm low key leaning Caleb, but without Caleb, I think I go Jalen Hurts, honestly.
Okay.
But I do think Jordan Love is right there with him.
Stop, Baker.
Obviously needs
Stop.
to
I love
show.
Baker too, but he's not there. Stop.
Obviously needs to show
I'm
more.
not saying
But
Jordan's
I think
not
Jordan,
good. I'm not putting the crown on the kid's head because he won a playoff game in Dallas. Just
Yeah,
not
no,
doing it.
I get it. I get it. All right, got 3 more for you guys before we just go ahead move on here. Michael Penix Jr. will play multiple games this season.
What do you mean by play?
No.
What do you
I don't know.
mean by play? Start? Or like
maybe not
he plays
or
10 snaps and a mop up.
Not mop up. I'm saying either Cousins gets benched or Cousins gets hurt.
Okay, so either starts or significant time.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you're saying 3.
Multiple, more than one, like on purpose.
I'm gonna go no.
On purpose. Man. I mean, the way that line played, I don't know. It might not be an overreaction.
I think Kirk gets it together.
I'll still go overreaction. Even though I think it's a decent likelihood that it happens.
I'm gonna go not an overreaction. I don't think Kirk believes in his leg. Like just watching the dropbacks, I had to go back and watch every dropback. Doesn't look like he believes in it. Like he didn't really plan off of it at all to like get serious zip, what you see from Kirk.
I've seen that too.
I'm gonna go not an overreaction.
Okay.
Last 2 I got here, opposite ends of the spectrum. The New Orleans Saints will make the playoffs this year.
So overreaction.
Overreaction.
Carolina stinks.
Yeah, I
don't know if Carolina wins a game.
Well,
if they play that way. They play that way the rest of the year. I don't know who they're going to beat.
What a statement game for Dave Canales.
Which kind of leads me into the next one. For what it's worth, I say not an overreaction because I think the Falcons not being quite where I thought they were going to be. The Bucks obviously are going to always compete, but the Saints play the Bucks tough all the time. I think it might be 50-50 for who wins that division. The last one I got, though, the New York Giants or the Carolina Panthers won't win one game this year.
False. Overreaction. The Giants front seven's too good for them not to win. Giants are going to win Sunday. I got news for you. Giants are going to win Sunday, so you don't have to worry about that.
Who do they play? What do they play? Washington?
Yeah, they play Washington. And that front seven's going to eat.
Man, I do agree with you. I think Chicago win a game. I need to look at Carolina's schedule. I don't think I don't
want to give anything away, but I think Carolina might win Sunday too.
I don't know of anybody. No way.
Okay.
It's so hard not to win a game, so I'll say they win a game. But, oof. Yeah, I mean they got some. They play the Giants. They play the Broncos. Yeah, I'll say overreaction.
I'll say overreaction as well because they do play each other. And even Carolina won a game last year, and they were worse shape than what they are now. So I will say overreaction, but I do think this could get interesting 7-8 weeks into the year.
I was literally just going to say the same thing. If they don't have a win by 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, they play the Giants week 10. If they don't have it by then, they're not getting it because they finished the season with the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Cardinals, the Bucks again, and the Falcons.
Overreaction or not overreaction? Can I add one, Control?
Sure.
Cleveland will regret the day that they passed up on Baker Mayfield.
That's a little not what I thought you were going to say. That's like, I don't know if it's not. I feel like they could regret it for different reasons, though. I think they could regret it just because they simply have so much invested in Deshaun Watson. But I say it's not an overreaction.
Cleveland's never going to regret passing on Baker Mayfield. They may regret trading for Deshaun Watson. They'll never regret giving up Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield hasn't done anything. He won't win anything in Tampa Bay. They will not have been able to get to where they wanted to go. It took them 3 years to get to this point. So Cleveland will never regret giving up on Baker. They may regret trading for Deshaun. Maybe they regret not going in on the Rodgers sweepstakes or trying to get a first round pick or trading up there, things like that. They won't regret trading Baker Mayfield ever.
I would dare say there's people in that building already that regret trading with Sean.
Well, yeah, I'm sure there are people in that building that do that, but they don't regret getting rid of Baker.
I mean, now he's got new stuff popping up again, so see where that goes.
Gene, you say those are alarming numbers, and again, no context behind it.
No,
let's do Baker's first.
Did you think there's going to be context?
Baker's first 13 games away from the Browns, like Deshaun Watson's first 13 games with the Browns. Like, put those next to each other.
Oh, I probably could find those. All right, guys, we got to preview games. We're 1 hour and 37 minutes in.
Oh, Alex, you're talking about me. Look at your team. You're literally Jimmy Garoppolo took you to the Super Bowl, and what did you do with him? At some point, you got to realize, although the guy gets you there, you need better to get over the hump. Brock hasn't even gotten there yet. And I got news for you. If Brock doesn't get you there in the next couple of years, depending on how he looks, they might wipe the floor with him and go after somebody different.
Wait, what?
If Brock Purdy does not win a Super Bowl within the next 3 years.
Oh, I thought you said not get there. I was like, yeah, they were just there.
San Francisco will move on.
They will. All right, we got to preview a couple games. We got 3 games to preview this week. Starting with Thursday Night Football.
Jeez.
One of the best rival. What?
It's going to be a long one.
What do you mean?
No, I'm saying we're just getting into previews.
Yeah, just quickly. Buffalo versus Miami. Buffalo Bills, Miami, Thursday Night Football, one of the best rivalries in sports. Bills, Miami. How do you guys see the game going?
I didn't realize Miami was as bad against Buffalo as they were until I saw the stats say they're
20 years.
They're atrocious. That being said, I think they're at home. I think Buffalo really looked bad for the first half and then kind of turned it on. And Arizona kind of started playing like Arizona. I slightly lean Miami on this one. I think Tyreek will leave a little earlier for the game, and I think there'll be less drama. And I think the Dolphins pull one out.
I'm going with the Dolphins as well here. I get it. Josh plays better against the Miami. Seems to have their number. I think Miami will get it figured out. For whatever reason, it seemed like they moved the ball pretty well last week against Jacksonville. They just weren't able to put a lot of points up on the board. So I think with this being another week where everyone's together, I know there's a lot of question marks at the running back position. I don't really care. I think if they have Jalen Wright out there and they have Jeff Wilson out there, I think they can pick up the slack, just as good as like what Mostert can do. So I like Miami to win this game.
I love Miami in this game. It is a Miami Dolphins game. But I'll be very quick there. I think Miami throws the ball over the yard. Whether Mostert's out, whether A-Chain plays or not, I think Miami moves the ball. It's in Miami. Give me the Dolphins. I'll take them.
I agree with you. I mean, Wilson is a very capable kind of fill-in backup guy. He's been in that role his whole career. I don't think they missed a beat with him there. And again, I think they can throw the ball in that secondary. I like Miami.
All right, let's move on to Sunday. Sunday, we got action. We got the we'll start with this one. The Rams. Sorry, not the Rams. Detroit, Tampa Bay. Baker Mayfield. Tampa Bay at Detroit. This is a rematch of a playoff game last year. I'll start here. I love Detroit in this one. I think Detroit wins this game. I think they are able to run the football versus Tampa Bay. I think the run sets up the play action. I think they now have a dynamic number 2 wide receiver with Jameson Williams, who, by the way, on draft night, I said Jameson Williams could outscore Amon-Ra St. Brown. People think I'm nuts. Well, one weekend, I got a little bit of a lead.
Yeah, I mean, St. Brown didn't really do much at all the other night. But that being said, to keep it quick and brief, I agree with you. Detroit at home, I think too much. I think the defensive line will get pressure on Baker, probably throws a pick somewhere. I just don't think they're going to be able to. They're not going to be able to be as balanced as they were against Washington. And I think Detroit will do whatever they want to do, throwing the ball and running the ball. So I like Detroit.
I like Detroit as well. I hate that we keep sweeping these games, but this feels like a Detroit win. And I think, honestly, before looking at this spread, I didn't think it was going to be as high as it was, but Detroit is coming in at a 6.5-point favorite. So I was kind of surprised to see that number as high as it was, especially how
7.5 now.
How the Bucks looked last week. Exactly. So up to 7.5. After seeing how the Bucks looked last week and even how tight that playoff game was last year. So, but I truly think with the way the Lions offense is looking right now, they'll be able to take care of business against that Buccaneers defense.
All right. Last game on the docket, and the only reason it's on the docket right now is because of the names and the teams that are in it. Cincinnati Bengals travel to Kansas City to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, must-see TV, right? Maybe not. I'm not bought into this Bengals team right now. I told you Joe Burrow could be a candidate for early retirement. I think that Bengals organization is an absolute mess. Give me the Chiefs in this one. I don't know if it'll be a blowout. I think it'll be closer. I think Cincinnati has a better performance offensively this week. But with that being said, I think Cincinnati loses this football game, whether it be within the 6 or by 3, whatever. I like Kansas City to win the game.
I like Kansas City to win the game as well. At home, Cincinnati would take a giant leap forward between now and Sunday in quality for me to believe they're going to go in there in the Arrowhead and win that football game. I think Kansas City came out sharp, which they didn't do last year. I think they looked really good last week against a really, really, really good Baltimore team. I think they dominated home. I like Kansas City.
I like Kansas City as well. I mean, if Joe Burrow's not going to be able to put up 300 yards in that game, then I'm going to go with Kansas City. I think it's going to be tough for Cincinnati to find an identity, running the ball on that Chiefs defense, and I think they're going to get pretty one-dimensional against that Kansas City Chiefs team. I don't think that's what you want. So I like KC. I actually think they cover the spread as well.
Well, speaking of spreads, let's get into pick 'em. Why don't you start us off, Cottrell?
All right, so I will just throw the standings up here after week 1. One game behind both of you. Browns let you guys both down to keep me in striking distance here.
Assholes.
But my picks for this week, speaking of, I'm starting off with the Cleveland Browns. I hardly ever pick the Browns during pick 'em, but I think this is a bounce back week. They're +3 going to Jacksonville. I think with what Jacksonville does, I think the Browns will be able to slow down the run. And I think Jacksonville is unproven at receiver. I know Christian Kirk is there. No, Gabe is there. I don't think either one of those guys have the advantage in their matchups against the Browns secondary. And I think Myles Garrett is going to be able to get after the quarterback. Browns also get back both of their starting tackles, so I think they get much better in that game. Second game I like the Chargers -5.5 at Carolina. Think the Panthers are absolutely horrible. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to go down there and run the ball down their throat. They're going to control the time of possession, and I think Carolina's going to be in the mood to punt a lot. I could see LA killing a lot of clock, keeping control of the ball, that being a 2-possession game. And then the last game I like the under 44.5 Giants at Commanders. Look, I know it burned me a couple times last year. You bet the under on bad teams and forget that bad defenses are involved. I truly don't think that Daniel Jones and that Giants offense can muster up 17 points in this game. And if that's the case, I think the under 44.5 should be a lock. So love the under in that one.
Me or you?
You can go.
All right. First game I'm taking Chicago, Houston -6.5. I think we saw the growing pains of what you're going to see with Caleb. As great as we think he's going to be, going to Houston, playing there against that defense, and more importantly, playing against that offense is a completely different animal than playing against Tennessee Titans. You can't give C.J. Stroud that offense, let them stay on the field and have extra possession after extra possession. I think they're more than capable of winning that football game by one possession. I like Houston -6.5. Second pick, Indianapolis -3 at Green Bay. Jordan Love's not going to play. Malik Willis has been a dumpster fire whenever he's been on the field so far. I think they go there, run the ball, take care, take control of the clock, hit a couple plays here and there. I think they win by 6 or 7 points. I like Indianapolis -3. Last but not least, the game we just talked about, Kansas City -5.5 at home against Cincinnati. I think they win by way more than that. I think Cincinnati would have to take an enormous jump in quality to stay in the game with Kansas City after the way we saw both teams playing week 1. So give me Mahomes and company -5.5 at home.
Okay. My 3 games you're gonna look at me next week and you're gonna say, Gene, you're now 2-4, or Gene, you've seen stuff that none of us seen. And that's okay. I'm wild. I'm a little off the radar this week. Outside my first game is a square pick. The other 2 are not square picks. I love the Ravens -8.5 for their home opener. They're 12-4 under John Harbaugh on home openers. They're 0-1. They're going to walk into this game versus the Raiders, who have an offense that just isn't moving the ball. That Ravens defense is very good. I think Lamar Jackson and company will be good enough to beat them for multiple scores. Give me the Ravens in a blowout. I think they win this game by 25+. I think this game's a sleeper that's completely over very early. Here's the 2 wild picks. Everyone, get ready to get on me in the chat. Give me Brian Flores, Steve Young Darnold, and the Minnesota Vikings +6.5, playing at home on a short week versus the San Francisco 49ers. I love this matchup for Minnesota. Minnesota played them last year, and Flores gave Brock Purdy and that offense everything that they can handle. Sam Darnold looked good. They have obviously a full week of rest. San Francisco's playing on the short week, possibly without Christian McCaffrey. If you wait until Sunday, you can get this spread at 7. I'm almost sure of it. Give me the Vikings +6.5. That's what I'll take it at. And the last but not least, 1 o'clock game, traveling across the country. Hey, 73% of the time, a team gets blown out by 30+ points and plays at home the next week, they cover. Give me the Panthers +6 versus the Chargers. It's gross. It's going to hit. Take the Panthers. Take it to the bank. Bryce Young, Panthers, beating the team that can't play at 1 o'clock on the East Coast. I love it. And I'm going to sprinkle a little cheddar on it outright. Love the Panthers in this one. Like I said, a little weird, right? I get it.
I don't know if I can give you that 6, Gene. I'll give you 5.5.
I got it at 6. That's what it's at.
It's not what's that.
Okay. I'll type it in right now. I'll see exactly where it's at. Panthers. I don't think I'm going to need it, but I'm just checking it out.
It's 5.5 on FanDuel. I can't speak for anything else.
6.5 on BetMGM. That's why I said 6, but I just Googled it. 6.5 almost everywhere. Sports Illustrated has 6.5. Sports Interaction has it 6.5. I'll take 6. I just Googled the Panther. All you got to do is your Panthers Chargers spread. Everything says 6.5. I'll take it at 6.
I'll take it at 5.
You're taking it at 5?
I mean, just saying numbers here.
Okay. You're just saying numbers. I think 6 is fair. All right.
Well, I mean,
we'll see where we see how it ends.
I'm not. I mean, if BetMGM has it at 6.5, it's another book that has it. I mean, it is what it is. Then. I mean, I don't care what Sports Illustrated has it as, but
BetMGM has it 6.5.
That's what I'm saying. I said if another book that actually takes money has it at that, then it is what it is.
Yeah, I'll take the 6.5. I think that's. I'll take the 6. Just keep it a flat 6, but that's okay. College football. Luckily, guys, I'm going to apologize to everyone out there. We're going to go a little late, and that's fair. Luckily, you guys have an incredible college football show that comes on every Saturday, coast to coast. Great show. You should be tuning into it every Saturday. And luckily, we really don't have 2 big weeks of college football in a row. Last week, not a huge week. This week, not a huge week. And that's okay. But I do need to touch on a couple things. Texas is for real. That's fair. Can we say Texas is for real?
Mm-hmm.
Daddy Quinn is Daddy Quinn.
Or we could say the latter.
Oh, Michigan's terrible. They're gonna want to fall off. It's fair. And man, I was wrong about Notre Dame. God damn Notre Dame.
That's got egg on your face
loss
for that one.
I was not.
I said you got egg on your face for that one.
I didn't pick them in the game, but yes, I have egg on my face. They won at A&M, and they had a letdown game versus Little Sisters of the Poor.
Northern Illinois.
I don't even freaking know. Penn State almost lost to Ball State. I don't even know where Ball State is.
Bowling Green. But you're in the MAC. You're in the MAC.
Right conference.
I don't even know where Bowling Green is.
Hey, you're on the green.
What state is Bowling Green in?
Kentucky. It is in the great state of Ohio.
It's in Ohio. Look at that. Shally was wrong.
I know there's a Bowling Green in Kentucky. I know that for a different reason.
Okay. Yeah. Bowling Green is like 20 minutes of Toledo. Like 20 minutes, I believe, north of Toledo.
That's fair.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
Look at that. But I just want to touch on that, the little bit of things that happened last week. Cottrell, Shally, lead us in this college football charge. I know you guys will have a full show on Saturday, but just today.
We have a lot to unpack on Saturday. But that being said, Texas looked really good. Made the most of their opportunities. I said from the get-go, I knew what Michigan would be after they played Texas. They don't have a quarterback. And until they find one, it's going to be a lot of up and down stuff in Ann Arbor this year. Notre Dame, said from the get-go, they're one of my two fool's gold teams. They both almost lost the same weekend. That's Penn State, to their credit, held on and won. So they won't have that loss in the L column. I think that's a horribly devastating loss for Notre Dame. If you weigh that out, they cannot lose the game for the rest of the year. If they lose that, after losing that game at home, I think if they lose to USC, I don't think there's a shot in hell they make the playoffs. I think it's going to be weighed considerably against them, as it should be. Ohio State, Miami, Georgia, most of the other big teams all looked pretty good last weekend.
Tennessee looked really good too.
Tennessee looked really good.
Oregon didn't look good.
No, Oregon better get the shit together. I was kind of already leading one way in that game anyway, but they have Ohio State coming to town sooner than later, and if they don't get their shit together, that's going to be a rude awakening for the Ducks.
Yes, there it is. There it is. Just rub it in.
Cuse has been looking good. Somebody picked him to go to ACC championship game. Give credit where credit is.
No, credit. I'll give credit. Dude, you picked him. I love that pick.
No.
Let me ask you a question. Is that like a pick to like kind of like soften the blow of losing Kyle McCord?
No,
it's a guilty conscience pick. Is what that
doesn't felt like.
No, yeah. It doesn't soften the blow. But again, I think it's one thing to
Will Howard or Kyle McCord.
Will Howard.
Oh, stop.
Bro, you guys aren't doing this right now. Will Howard is better for it, but he's better for the Ohio State offense. He can run the ball. Ohio State offense has looked absolutely inclate so far.
You haven't played anybody yet. Relax.
You say that, but you play teams like Fresno State and it's one possession that late in the fourth quarter.
By 20. Fresno State won 9 games last year as their whole team.
I get it, but that's not just you. That's not just you. Penn State just played Bowling Green. And Bowling Green's a nobody school, and they won by a touchdown. Look at Oregon. Oregon played Idaho. Idaho was an FCS school.
We're not talking about them.
I'm saying it's not you. You can play who's in front of you. I get it. Ohio State hasn't played anyone yet. I 100% understand that. There's a ton of other teams in the country that are big-time programs who we expect to be in the college football playoff that have played nobodies and have struggled. Ohio State has not done that. I am happy with where they are right now. Kyle McCord could not use his legs in the Ohio State offense. Will Howard does. He's a better fit for the offense.
I love that you guys have a 5-game bye to start the season, but okay.
I just think it's hilarious.
Ohio
State has a 5-game bye to start the season.
You had Bowling Green last week. You had Bowling Green last week.
Listen. Schedule.
We won out West Virginia. It's a better win than you'll have until week 6.
We've talked about this before. This is what you're going to have to get used to. This is the new norm. With these conferences being bigger There's no need to play good teams in the non-conference anymore. So,
and it's not even just that. Michigan had a shit non-conference schedule last year, and what they do, they won every game that was in front of them and went on to win the national championship.
But they
Doesn't matter.
Too. So like, I don't care.
Agreed.
What Ohio State.
Agreed.
I don't care what Ohio State does Western Michigan, bro.
Agreed. And you're going to see Ohio State plays Oregon. They play Penn State. They play Michigan. Like you're going to see who they really are. My point is that we saw Michigan be dominant defensively last year against even those shit schools. Michigan the only game that they had even somewhat of a slip was the week before the Ohio State game, and that happens every year with both teams. So if you're good, you're going to show that you're good. This looks different than last year against the bad teams.
The only thing I will say is, and this is the part that rubbed me the wrong way. They made that kid the scapegoat, and that bothered me because he's not the reason you lost.
No, he's not. But again, the same reason why San Francisco moved on from Garoppolo, same reason why Philadelphia eventually moved on from Carson Wentz. You feel like you have to go get somebody to put you in a better position to win. And that's what Ohio State did. I'm not mad at them for it.
Not you mad. It's just I told you what your kryptonite is, and if nobody can do it, then I think you guys have a shot to win the national championship. I think you guys are playing a different brand of football this year, and I think it's smart. And I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, what games are we previewing this week?
All right. So I think we should start off with Arizona at K-State, one of the ranked wins.
Is that tomorrow night or Friday night?
Teams. Believe it is Friday night. Let me just double check though.
I know it's not Saturday.
It's Friday night.
Yeah, Friday night. Friday at 8.
Christ, we don't get the preview this from coast to coast. Kansas State struggled with were they at Tulane last week, which we all thought was going to kind of be a closer game. You just don't go into just Tulane and beat the wave like that. And then Arizona had who they played? Northern Arizona. I don't even know what the hell happened in that game. That being said, this should be an entertaining football game. It should be an offensive game. Arizona should be able to throw the ball all over Kansas State secondary, which is just not covering anybody right now. And then Avery Johnson and company on the other side of the ball. I think their goal's got to be to kind of have longer sustained drives and not probably quick strike a lot. Run 5, 6, 7 minutes off the clock. If you're going to go down and score, I think that's how Kansas State ends up winning at home. I think it's a close game, but ultimately, I kind of like Kansas State here.
I love Kansas State in the game. I think they win the game at home. Arizona's played very well, but I'll take Kansas State in this one. I think that Kansas State being at home, Friday Night Lights, I'm taking Kansas State in this one.
I'm going to be on the other side of you guys. I know it's a 7-point spread. Everyone's expecting K-State to take advantage in this one. I like Arizona in the upset here. I think if Arizona wants to go to the Big 12 championship game, I think this is going to be a big step for them in doing so. I think they know that this is probably going to be their toughest in-conference game all season, and I think they know what they got to do. I was kind of surprised how quickly Arizona has kind of gelled with their new coach, but I like Fafita, and I like that Arizona offense take care of business against K-State.
Okay.
Then the last one we got, another ranked game. We always cover the ranked ones here. Kind of a dub, but got to go over it. Boston College is traveling to Mizzou, 24 versus 6 in a 12:45 game on Saturday.
12:45?
12:45, a little weird.
Yeah, I like doing this one by a lot. I think Boston College is ranked because they won a big game that they probably shouldn't have won. It's a very good upset. Good for them. Program's turning around. Love what Bill O'Brien's doing up there, but yeah, Mizzou's going to handle business here.
I like Mizzou at home. I think Mizzou wins the game. I think the spread is interesting.
Spread is in my opinion.
Agreed. I think Boston College is better than I think people realize. I think a lot of people are looking at it as they beat Florida State, and kind of like Gene said, that's why they're ranked. And while it is, I think people think it's because Florida State is bad, and I don't think they're not playing well. But I think Boston College is a little bit better football team than people realize. I think they're going to try to run the ball. Missouri's defense has not been stellar at all so far in their first 2 weeks games. Offense still looks great, but I don't think Missouri's ever in any danger of losing the football game per se. But I think the spread's kind of batty too. If I was going to bet it, I would bet Boston College to cover.
Yeah, Boston College being 16-point dogs in this one. I know they're going on the road, but I think people forget that as bad of a coach as he was in the NFL, Bill O'Brien's a great college coach.
Great college coach.
I think Penn State would love to have Bill O'Brien back on the sidelines. So I think what he's doing with Boston College so far is definitely been nice to see. Florida State, obviously after week 1, we knew they kind of were going to be overrated a bit this year. But Castellanos, and as the quarterback of that team, he gives them a different dynamic. I think they keep this game close. I think it's always within 7 to 10 points, but ultimately I like Mizzou to win the game.
All right, so let's get into pick 'em.
All right, so let me do this. Keep everybody updated here. Gene's off to the hot start, win-loss wise. Shally hit a big one, landed a big fish in Super Dog last week. So I'm just staying middle ground here. Got some room to make up, but
even Keel Cottrell.
Yeah, no Super Dog, just 3-3. I'm about as middle of the road as you can get.
Just out there floating.
What order you want to go in here?
Well, it's your choice.
I'll go first. Here. You guys are the college guys. You shouldn't be listening to my picks anyway. I'm getting a little lucky, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. I'll start with this one, and this is going to be gone to the well one too many times. I didn't pick them last week, but I've been on them this year. I think Notre Dame bounces back versus Purdue this week. I love them -9.5 versus Purdue. I think they beat up on Purdue. I think this game's not close. I think their defense comes out. I think their offense comes out. I think this is a walkthrough for Notre Dame. I think they come in here and they absolutely bludgeon Purdue. So I'll take them -9.5, and I believe it's at a neutral site. I'll take Ole Miss. This is another. I'm staying right in the well I'm at. It's working for me. Jackson Dart to cover. Ole Miss -22.5 at Wake Forest. I don't care if they're going on the road. I think Jackson Dart runs through Wake Forest. I think Ole Miss blows them out of the water. They've been beating everybody, and Jackson Dart looks incredible. And then here's the last one, and I think that might make Shally smile here. Maybe it's possible. I like Michigan to bounce back versus Arkansas State. Arkansas State's not a good football team.
You're an idiot.
I think Michigan -22.5 is 100% the move here. I think their defense, they run the football, and I think their defense beats Arkansas State straight up without their offense. So give me Michigan -22.5 over Arkansas State. And then last but not least, I'll take Temple +17.5 at home versus Coastal Carolina.
All Gene said is Temple stinks. Super dog. Give me Temple.
He said they screwed me once, they won't screw me again.
Yep, I'm gonna take them again. They're playing at home. Coastal Carolina is not that good. Screw it. Let's go.
Temple. I think Temple was my win last week.
Yes,
it was. Yeah, Navy beat the hell out of them. All right, I'll go quick here. I'm taking Arizona +7.5 at Kansas State. I think Kansas State's going to win the game. I think it's a close game, though. I think Arizona has enough to stay in it. I'm going to go Arizona +7.5. This one, I'm going A&M -3.5 at Florida. Coming off the bye. Florida's already announced that they're going to play both quarterbacks. That means Graham Mertz is going to be there at some point. Florida does not have the defense to pressure Connor Wiggman like Notre Dame did and play the same kind of looks. I think A&M gets back on track and they go into the swamp and win. I'm going with Gene on this one. Ole Miss -22.5 at Wake Forest. I think this is a little bit low just because it's their first away game. it's a bigger school, but I honestly don't think Wake Forest can keep up with Ole Miss. So I'll take Ole Miss minus 22.5. Then for my super dog, I'm going to take Kentucky plus 24.5. I don't think they scare Georgia by any means or anything like that. Georgia's got Alabama next, though. I think a little bit of a looky ahead. We see how that works all the time. Kentucky, not bad at all by any means. I think they play decent enough at home to keep it somewhat relatively respectable. Steal me some more super dog points.
All right, here I'll start off with the game that me and Bill actually agree on. I'm going Texas A&M minus 3.5 at Florida for all the same reasons that Bill had. As soon as they announced that Graham Mertz is going to be back and taking snaps again after how great DJ Lagway looked last week, I said, hey, this has an A&M win written all over it. So I love A&M in that spot there, even though they're on the road. Second game I like. They burned me last week for being wrong. I like Texas State at home versus Arizona State. Texas State is a team that I thought would be a good team that would potentially compete to go to the college football playoff this year, and they have not disappointed. They took out my team last week in UTSA, who I thought was going to be a really good team this year. I still do, but that just showed me how for real this Texas State team is this year, led by their transfer quarterback from James Madison. So love Texas State in that spot. Then the last game. Again, I hate that I'm picking so many teams on the road here, but this spread just didn't make sense to me. I like UCF minus 2.5 at TCU. I think KJ Jefferson and Gus Malzahn have a connection there. I think that's the perfect quarterback for Gus. Obviously, you know the connection between him and Cam Newton while he was at Auburn. UCF has been running the hell out of the ball, and I think that continues against this TCU team that just isn't quite back yet. So I think they take care of business on the road and win that game by at least a touchdown. And then that leads me right into my super dog. I like Arkansas State plus 22.5 at Michigan. Arkansas State is a team that can run the ball very consistently. I think this is a game where you can see both teams just bleeding the hell out of the clock. Like Bill mentioned before, Michigan does not have a quarterback on that team. So I think you may try to see the emergence of Donovan Edwards in this one. But I think Arkansas State can, control a little bit of clock here and continue to run because they do have a dual threat quarterback and they actually have a pretty decent run game as well. So I like them to cover that 22.5 point spread.
This will all depend on who starts. If Shamar Moore has any kind of, I don't want to say balls is the right word, but if they want to salvage a season, if they start Jack Tuttle, Michigan will cover that spread. If he goes back to Warren and Orgy and that whole thing, then I don't know what's going to happen. They might lose. I don't know.
And Gene, you disrespected Arkansas State. Arkansas State is a contender in the Sun Belt for this year. Okay,
I'm disrespecting in the Sun Belt. I have no idea. I couldn't name you one friggin' player on there. I know Michigan's going to bounce back because they're a big program, and Siobhan Moore is going to preach toughness, and that defense is good. I don't think they're going to be able to move the ball.
I mean, I love Gene's confidence.
All right, well, UFC, there's a couple fights on this card that we got to talk about, guys. And I know we're a little bit past time, but we can't pass up on these fights, right? There's a good fights here.
Spear.
It's at the Spear. 2 title fights. I was very shocked to see the Alexis Grasso, Shevchenko odds.
Same.
I will pass it to Cottrell first to give his in-depth opinion of his greatest female fighter of all time.
Well, to be honest, I was surprised Shevchenko took this fight knowing that she got screwed the last time that they fought on Mexican, Mexican independent card. But of course I'm rolling with Shevchenko here. Like I just said, she won the last time they were in the octagon. There was no doubt about it. Some judge was just in over his head and put down a ridiculous score in the 5th round that ultimately cost her the belt there. But I like Valentina to win the fight. I do think it's close. I will say Alexa Grasso has earned a ton of my respect for just her as a fighter. I think it goes the distance, but I got Valentina Shevchenko getting the belt that she should have had at least a year ago.
I mean, I'm with you. I have Shevchenko winning the fight too. I think Alexa Grasso has definitely earned a lot of people's respect, but I think Shevchenko comes back and gets the fight. I'll take her in this fight, but Alexa Grasso is going to keep this fight very close. I think the odds are wrong. I think Shevchenko should be favored in the fight. But that's, it was interesting to me to see how it broke down.
I didn't. What are the odds? I have not.
Minus 140 to plus 120.
Well, that's not what it was when I looked. Where did you get those? They were even closer when I looked at them.
ESPN.
Because FanDuel earlier was minus 118 and minus 102.
Alexa Grasso's to minus 140.
Yeah, she was minus 118. Valentina was minus 102. I don't know.
I will say this. I'm also taking T-City in the upset earlier in the card over Diego Lopes.
I agree with both you guys, though. I think Valentina wins. I do think she's got to come in.
Oh!
I think she got a little. She got to do something.
We went 11 minutes past our normal time, and Bill's like it's bedtime.
I was ready for bed.
Damn right. Tired shit. Old.
Facts.
But I think she's got to do something a little bit different, just a little bit different to kind of switch up her game plan and maybe make Grasso think a bit a little bit differently or just show her something different. I do agree. I think she won the second fight. I think she got screwed. I think she wins this fight though, gets her belts back. But I do think it'll be a close fight. I mean, Grasso is a tough lady to say the least. So I don't think this is going to be a walkthrough by any means. But I think Shevchenko gets her belt back.
And then I just want to be clear. I got T-City earlier in this card. I'll take him over Diego Lopes.
I got T-City in that fight as well.
Here's the fight that I can't wait for. Merab versus Sugar Show. I've been asking for this fight for a while. I'm really happy it's here. I don't like Sean O'Malley. I don't. I root against him every time he fights. I've never liked Sean O'Malley. What? I don't like Sean O'Malley.
I just like the Sugar Show.
I don't like him.
I mean, is it the hair? It's
everything. I don't like him.
Okay. My bad.
Is
it Justin Herbert?
Sure. That's exactly what it is. It's funny. I even rooted for Aljamain to beat him.
That's crazy.
It was? Do you remember that? I was like, Aljamain, let's go. But I'll take Merab in this fight. I think he's going to take him down. I think he's going to have him on his back. I think he's going to beat him up. And I don't think Sean O'Malley can catch him. I don't. I think Merab is actually going to put him on the ground and control the fight. I think it's going to be a 4-1 decision. I think there'll be one round that O'Malley kind of like gets him up in the standing, like pieces him up a little bit. I think Merab controls the fight, and I think you at the end of this you hear Ngannou.
Hate to say it, but I'm gonna go with Gene on this one.
Hate to say it. Screw you.
No, not this. O'Malley was one of those guys, kind of like you. I kept picking against them, and then he kept getting better and looking better. I was like, all right, like at some point I should start picking him. But I think this is a bad matchup for him because I think if he doesn't catch him early, to Gene's point, I think he's going to get put on his back, and then I think he can get kept there the majority of these rounds. I don't think he's be able to get up and just stand up and start fight, start boxing again. So I think we go Ngannou here.
I think we go Ngannou as well, but I think you guys are selling short O'Malley's takedown defense. After watching him fight against Aljo, you can tell that obviously Aljo wanted to get the fight to the ground. It just didn't work out as much for him. And Merab is more so a volume guy. Like I wouldn't say he's like a dominant ground fighter. I think in his most recent 2 fights, he's only at like 27% completed takedown percentage. So it's not like Merab's just going to go out there and maul Sugar Show. I just think it's going to be the volume that ultimately takes Sean out. Normally with Sean, because he's a bigger guy in that weight class, a lot of people kind of try and keep their distance and not press him as much just because, they know what he can do and they know the kind of power that he has. Merab is not going to be afraid of that. He know he can stand in there and take as many shots as he wants to from O'Malley, and he can just dish them all back. And his pace is absolutely insane. He may have, we talk about it with a lot of guys. Merab may have the best cardio in the entire UFC because he's going to go out there and he's going to throw 500 punches if he wants to. Like it, not literally that much, but I mean, Merab is insane. He will kill you with pace, and I think that's what happens here. I actually don't think the takedowns get too wild or anything like that. I do think there may be a round or two where you see Merab, take advantage and win a round from the fights being on the ground. but I think it's going to be volume more than anything. I don't think Sean's going to land that blow that ultimately knocks out Merab, and I think that's what he's going to need in this kind of fight, because Merab is going to push the pace and he's going to, push it to the max. And we've never seen Sean push that way in a 5-round fight. So I think this is where that the rubber meets the road kind of thing. I do think we see in new, but for what it's worth, though, I'm a big Sugar Show fan. Sean O'Malley, I will be rooting for you, but I think Merab gets it done on Saturday.
Sugar Show's got good taste in cars. I'll tell him that.
I would say if we, situation like this, that we're a little bit late and you got to be kidding me's up, but there's too many of them this week. There's like 70. So we got to get into you got to be kidding me. Let's wrap it up.
There are, I think for me, at least, we've already covered mine, so I can leave the buck here. I was going to go with Shanahan and how the whole handling of the Jordan Mason situation, just because the kid had such a big night. And, I did want to give him his love, especially because he's taking over for Christian McCaffrey. Those are pretty big shoes to fill. So I was going to go there. We already touched on it, though. For the sake of time, I'll just pass the buck along.
I'll pass as well. I don't have one that I feel.
Oh, I'm definitely using it. I was waiting. One of you guys used the Dade County and the situation that happened with Tyreek Hill. We didn't talk about it on the show, and the entire situations that you got to be kidding me. And I'll start with this, right? I'll be very clear and very blunt with this. Do I think Tyreek Hill could have handled himself better? Absolutely. I think he was going 155. That's basically what he got pulled over for. Super reckless driving. They knocked on his window. He should have rolled his window down. He was absolutely rude to the officer. The body cam footage shows that. Because you're speeding and because you're rude to the officer does not equal I'm going to throw you out of the car, throw you on the ground, put you on the friggin' 100-degree weather down there in Miami on the ground, cuff him, pick him up, throw him back down, which is to where he's yelling about his knee. Absolutely ridiculous. And they need to be disciplined. And listen, 2 of those police officers need to be gone off the force. That stuff cannot happen. Now, is Tyreek Hill a good person? Absolutely not. Is he 100% in the clear here? Absolutely not. But I compare it to this. If a child purposely knocked off a glass off the counter and broke it, a parent has no right to punch that child in the face. And that's the comparison I look at what happened with Tyreek Hill versus the way the Dade County police officers responded to it. It just cannot happen that way. You cannot do that. Look, Tyreek Hill's not a great human being. Never has been. Look up the lengthy history of him being a bad person. Doesn't mean he gets to be treated that way. And that's absolute bullshit. And for that, this week is you got to be kidding me.
Kidding me.
I also want to put this out there because I was going to use this because I figured one of you guys would use that. This is absolutely ridiculous. I have photos of Patrick Mahomes cheating on his wife. Look at this. He's walking around with someone else. Oh, wait, that's not Patrick Mahomes. That's Dylan Raiola. That guy needs to stop. It's a little weird. Let's just be very clear when we say this. If you're looking at this show and you're watching this show right now and you're looking at this, I just want to show you some photos. That's not it. Wrong. This is Dylan Raiola and Patrick Mahomes. Stop it. You got the same haircut. And now he's matching the facial hair. This is ridiculous. Stop it. I know you want to be him. And then where's 15? Same jersey number. Knock it off, Dylan. No, he's your hero, but God. I only found out about Dylan Raiola being so much like Patrick Mahomes because of the way they beat the shit out of Colorado. But
yeah. It's funny because he's actually been doing that since they've been like in camp. Like he has like same throwing mechanics.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous.
It is. It's definitely weird.
It's weird.
Definitely weird. But again, kid's 18, true freshman in college, I'm sure. And Patrick's actually played into it. He's he quoted him on Twitter like that's my cousin or something like that. So I get it. But it's definitely weird.
It's weird. But that's kind of all we got. Any final thoughts, gentlemen?
No, I got nothing.
I mean, I have two. Obviously, what today's date is. It's a little late in the night, but obviously, hopefully, everybody took a minute today to remember all the first responders that lost their lives on 9/11. Kind of the most horrific, tragic day, really, honestly, in the history of this country. So, hope everybody took some time to have those people in their thoughts today. And then last but not least, just want to give a shout out to iBlack Elmore's daughter, Kylie. I hope she's doing better. Hopefully she got sent home tonight. They were in the hospital for the last couple of days. So last couple of days, rough for Alex and his daughter. But I hope she is feeling better, and I hope she got discharged today, and she's at home resting comfortably.
I'll end it out the same thought about 9/11, but appreciate the fact that you brought that up. I'll bring it up also. Today to always remember, never forget. Remember where we were at. I remember where I was at. I was in 11th grade math class. Mrs. Biasini's algebra. I never forget it. And being sent home from school, I didn't really understand the severity of it until I got home. Really, it's a day to remember all the people that lost their lives. And thank you guys so much for making us part of your night. And that's all we got for you tonight. I'm the NFL genius, Gene Walzak. That's Kent State's own, Cleveland's own College Cottrell, Uncle Shally, Scholastic Shally, Mr. William Shawcross, and we are signing out.